Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm live back on YouTube. TJ Felony got a special felony talk. We'll just call it a felony talk. I was just kind of bored. I don't really have a big plan or anything. I just have a couple videos and extended documentary. There's a documentary I came across on the War for Independence with between Croatian forces and rebel forces, and I'm a big history buff. I'm more into world history and stuff like that than ufology or paranormal, really anything else. I've always been really into history and specifically the World War II era. It seems to be what I have always kind of gravitated towards. I found out, I kind of learned recently there's this whole era that I kind of have a lot of missing information and knowledge on. And it's these wars for independence and these civil wars that seem to spring up after the fall of the Soviet Union, after World War II. People call it the Balkans, or we got involved in the one in Bosnia. This is going to be this story of the Croatian war for independence, and it's just a really interesting, fascinating era because you had all these countries that were kind of on their own for the first time after, and it's just an era that I don't know much about and I'm wanting to learn more about. And I found this YouTube channel that it archives all the news broadcasts from Europe and stuff, and it puts them in order. So it's basically a historic record of that conflict, and it plays the news broadcasts in order, from date. And you can see how the war developed from start to finish. And this one on Croatia is about an hour long. That's going to be my main thing that I'm going to show. But I also got some other stuff. But there's another one. If people like this one, there's one about the war in Bosnia, Kosovo, that we got involved in as the United States. And that one is a four-part series. So if anybody watches this one at all, I'll probably do the Bosnian one next because trying to find other things to make content about that isn't ufology. I'm not really interested in ufology anymore. It's kind of been run into the dirt at this point, and it's kind of at a status that I'm not interested. It's taken over by these goofy MAGA politicians, and honestly, I just don't care. Like, I don't care what they have to say. Um, Other than that, we also got you guys recognize this guy, right? That's Screech. Screech from Saved by the Bell. We're going to do a breakdown of Screech's career. He passed away, I believe it was last year, a couple years ago maybe. And I watched a short video about that. And I never really understood the or knew the how much he was kind of going through. He never, I guess he didn't really fit in with the other actors and actresses on the set of Saved by the Bell. He was a few years younger, and yeah, we're gonna watch a couple videos about that. He ended up getting typecasted, they call it, is where basically you're you create and play such a memorable character that it works against you, where you have a hard time getting um, acting positions because everybody sees you as that role. And Screech, he on the streets, he was known as Screech. People would try to get him to talk in the squeaky voice, and he was a grown man, like he had to live with that, and it seemed to be something he really struggled with. So we're going to talk about that also. We're going to watch a couple videos of that. I think I had a couple short Midas Touch videos, I think. And also, there was a true crime case that I thought about watching if we have time. Uh, before we do all that, I'm gonna just give everyone kind of an update of what's been going on with me. I haven't been able to stream really this week, and I'll just be honest about everything because that's what I do. I don't bullshit. I'm not here to hide the fact that I'm struggling with things. That's just never been who I am. So, I had to go to here it's called small claims court last week. I got behind on my rent again. Surprise, surprise, story of my fucking life. Um, and I think I was about a little over like a month behind. This place I got that I'm renting from now, they don't really give you much leeway. And I had a week. I was given a week to be out, so I have to be moved out by Tuesday. Tuesday at noon, I got to be out. Um, I've always lived in apartments. This is the first house I tried to rent. I knew right away that I couldn't really afford this house just on my own with all the bills, packed on top of each other. The price of rent where I live is doubled almost. I mean, I'm paying for this little house probably maybe 400 more than what it would have been a couple years ago here. It probably would have went for like 550 a month a few years back, and now it's up to around $900,000 a month. It's just not realistic. I knew I couldn't really afford this place. Believe it or not, it's kind of a funny story. I mean, not really funny for me, but I met this girl online, uh, and she was going through a really hard time in her life. She ended up getting arrested on Christmas Eve, and I helped coordinate with her mom and get her out of jail and all that shit. And we had been talking for, I don't know, maybe a month up to that point, every night, talking on the phone and shit, talking all day. And after that, she started using the L word, telling me she loved me and stuff. And she was she was saying she wanted to leave, like she wanted to get away from and just kind of go start a new life. And she started hinting at that she wanted to come stay with me. And I was living in my little apartment because I'm a lone wolf. I don't need anything. I'm not materialistic. I don't need a big house. I don't need nice things. I don't. That's not what I'm after. So I was living in a little rundown apartment at the time, and I was like, well, you could if you really wanted to, if you, but because of course I'm not gonna tell you no. Like I really cared about the girl at the time. But I don't recommend you leave your daughter and family and stuff for this. But she was pretty set at the time. Like, no, I want to get the fuck out of here. Everyone's turned their back on me, and I just want to go start a new life. So stupid ass me. Some of it is my fault because at my age I shouldn't be falling for, dumbass internet relationships. Like I should be past that. So I take a lot of the blame. But that's why I rented this house. Like, I didn't need a house. I was just fine in my apartment. But it's kind of been one of the reasons I was so salty about the whole ordeal is because I took on all this financial responsibility that I couldn't really handle. And it was because I was thinking I was about to, like, have my like internet boo move in and shit, and it ended up just blowing up, and I should have known. Like this is, like I said, this is my problems. Like a grown man should not be falling for this shit, even though it's a grimy ass skeezy thing to do to somebody. But it ended up, going bad, and then I was stuck with this house that I couldn't really afford. Um, I kept it up for over a year. I've been here like a year and a half now. I'm off my initial lease. The initial lease was only a year. But what happened, that sent me to start getting behind on my rent was my Medicaid got cut right after my food stamps got cut. So my food stamps got cut 1 month, and groceries are crazy expensive right now. And then my Medicaid got cut, and I have therapy, like I'm in drug treatment and shit. So I have medications and therapy that I all of a sudden was having to pay for out of pocket, weekly therapy, because dude, I need therapy. Like I'm pretty self-aware, believe it or not. But I had to start paying for that stuff out of pocket, and that basically ate most of the money I was putting towards rent. So at that point, I started to fall behind on bills. It took 2 or 3 months until I was behind like a full month, month and a half. I was just coming up short a little bit every month. Uh, Now I'm like, I think I'm a little under 2 months behind, but it's they've already filed and everything. I mean I might be able to like if I was able to throw a shit ton of money at them and pay off like a few months in ahead and be like I'm leaving after this, they might work with me, but I doubt it. But I mean, it's a possibility. But I found a temporary place because one of the things is I was planning on moving in September anyways. I'm getting a house with my a relative and her boyfriend, and we're gonna put our income together and get a nicer place. And what's up, Rotary? And that was the plan. So I only need to survive until maybe Saturday or September, a couple months. So I found a janky little hotel that's like kind of right in the part of the city I need to be in. And they allow cats. I couldn't believe there were hotels that allow cats. It's one of the hotels that like homeless people go and stay in. The seedy ones down on by the truck stop. But I only gotta stay there a couple months. I've lived in one of those places before. I'll be all right. But that's the plan. I'm gonna have to probably go move some shit Monday and Tuesday. So you probably won't be seeing me stream until I get set up. They got Wi-Fi over there, so I'll be able to stream. So I'll stream from the fucking crackhead hotel for a little bit. But figured I might as well let everyone know what's going on because for what? These assholes, they're in my legal reports. They follow somehow they doxed my full name, and whenever like the last time I was close to getting evicted, they knew. They had the court documents already. It comes from Logan and Fred Rogers. So most likely they're already going to be talking about it that I lost my house because it went through the courts. It went through small claims court is what it goes through. But that's the situation I'm in. So what happened? Why I got the big black eye? Right? Yeah, that's. I'll explain that. So um, the day I went to small claims court, I had to go drop the car back off at my sister's, and I was all upset and just not in the right mindset. It's why they tell you not to drive when you're upset about something. But it wasn't my fault. It was the accident wasn't even my fault. But I feel like if I wouldn't have been all stressed out and upset, I could have maybe avoided it, or I would have been paying more attention. But I went to go through a red light, coming from court, taking the car back. I went to go through a red light, or not a red light, a traffic light. It was green, and I went to go straight through, and there was a pickup truck coming head on, and he cut left in front of me, and I hit him. Right, we made contact in the intersection, and I smacked my face into the dash and stuff, got knocked kind of goofy. I went over and parked the car, and it seems like so far I think insurance is gonna cover it, so that's good. But yeah, I fucked up my sister's car, and it's the one car we use. It's the car that I use to get around. It was the car I was gonna use to move. So everything just was made worse by that, and the car's not totaled or anything. We're getting it to the shop. We were doing all the insurance shit this week, doing, like filing all the crap online. And then yesterday was the first time I was able to stream. I think it was probably the first time I'd streamed in like, I don't know, a week maybe, all week. And started playing Battlefield. I had just started playing and like I got through my practice games and was just starting to roll. And my mom called me and said, your grandmother's in the hospital there where you live, 'cause we live in the big city that's closest to my hometown, and the hospital there is a little shit town hospital, and they don't even have doctors there sometimes. So they haul balls and bring them here whenever something serious happens. And my grandma had a massive stroke. I guess it was caused by a blood clot in her leg. So if you were watching, I think there was a couple people watching when it happened during my stream yesterday. I just cut off and left really quick. Yeah, I went to the hospital. She had a massive stroke. She lost most her movement on her left side, and her face was drooped and everything. But when I talked to the nurses and my mom, they said she couldn't talk. So I was scared. Like, I was expecting the worst. I went, and me and my sister went to see her, and she was talking. I mean, she was in bad shape, but she was able to talk. She was coherent. She could tell us what happened. She asked me what the fuck happened to my eye. Nobody noticed but her. Like, because I had family there and no one really said anything. But right before I left, she went, TJ, what happened to your eye? Did you get in a fight? I didn't even want to tell her. You don't want to add stress. I was like, no, Grandma, I was moving some stuff and something came down and whacked me in the eye. But she seemed to be okay. She's gonna be there in the hospital for a while. They gotta do rehab. But while I was there visiting her with her, she started to be able to move her leg, her left leg, her left arm. She can't feel right now, but just in the day that I was around, she was getting better. She was starting to get movement back in her leg. She ate a bunch of fruit with my grandpa. So it made me feel a little better. Like she was gonna be okay. Rehab is probably gonna be tough, but they've got really good insurance and medical care and stuff. So she'll go somewhere really nice, and I think I think she's tough enough to recover because she got a knee replacement just recently, and the doctors, some of the surgeons didn't even want to do it. They said she was too old and wouldn't be able to recover from it. And she recovered faster than like 20-year-olds. She wouldn't even take pain pills. Like, and she recovered. She was up walking around in a couple weeks. That older generation is just like mentally tough. They've been through a lot, and it seems like she's gonna be able to push through. Cause I've watched relatives have things like that happen, and the ones that seem to give up, they don't make it. My dad gave up. That's why he didn't live old. All he needed to do was go have a couple stents put in, and he just didn't care. He didn't want to try anymore. My grandma seems to be a fighter, so I think she'll be okay. But that's what's going on. If I'm moving around or if I don't stream for a while, that's what's been happening. And next week, if I'm in a different location, that's why. I'm sure, people will be talking shit, making fun of me, but whatever. It's one way to just to get in front of it and just tell people what's going on. That's kind of how I've been doing things. If anyone wants to help out financially, a couple buddies have sent me money, which is awesome. You can do it at buymeacoffee.com/DJ Felony. If you want to do it anonymously, just leave your name blank. You got to put your email address in, but nobody sees it. You can also do it at code-fee.com, but nobody really uses that. Buy me a coffee is probably the best. All right, we're gonna get ready to watch some YouTube videos here. I got a couple lined up that are interesting. We should have more people coming in, and maybe in a little bit. I don't know. Maybe not. We'll see. I also have a different setup for my to show YouTube videos, and I don't know if it'll look better or not. I might pop over there and we'll try it out and see what it looks like. Let's see. Pull up. That's chat catch. Window grab. First video. Ozzy Cobb. We got an update on Keemstar. I think we'll probably watch these on the little screen, and then when I play the Croatian documentary, we'll put that on the bigger screen. So this is Ozzy Cobb. Lockout Universe continues to be in decline. Keemstar really giving this girl a hard time over here. We're gonna go ahead and get into that. We'll start out with this. I'm probably gonna go for a while. I ain't got shit to do today, really. So I'm just gonna hang out and watch YouTube videos and get high and talk to whoever comes in. That's kind of the plan. Here we go.
God, what are you showing me?
This is Ozzy Cobb on YouTube. Go follow him to keep up on Keemstar and the Lockout Universe bullshit. Rotary, watch how this asshole treats this girl.
Hey, come on.
We'll talk to you later.
You're literally an old man cutting his grass.
Oh, you're an old woman with no man.
I am not old.
Well,
You look it.
It's the guy that dyes his beard and is bald.
Yeah, but
That's Keemstar. And look, Keemstar doesn't show his face. He sits there and like trashes this girl, but he doesn't show his face. He said she looks old. Dude,
I
I don't.
am not old.
well,
you look it.
It's the guy that dyes his beard and is bald.
Yeah, but I actually am old. You just look old. That's the difference.
You are old. You are old.
Yeah,
and
I
you do
am
old
old.
man things.
Yes, I am old. You look old. That's the
I don't
difference.
look old, bitch. Please. No, I
roller
don't.
coaster, right?
God,
Like
he's
sometimes
such
it's
a
fun and it's
dick.
great and it does feel like a community, and then other times it feels exactly the opposite of that.
Honestly, it's been like a 100% shit show ever since Fat Camp. And then I feel like probably a month ago, it really started going to shit.
Oh, I forgot to mention this too. This is hilarious. I got on the bus earlier today and I found a entire sandwich baggie full of these big doobies. They're pre-rolls from a dispensary. There was like 50 of them in there. It was seriously like an ounce of weed just sitting on the ground. So-
Yes.
and they're all
Yeah.
rolled.
Like for me, it's been this last week.
Yeah, like everything's just taking a nosedive.
Yes.
I could agree with that.
I've never met someone who will roll like 50 pre-roll. I mean, they're pre-rolls that seem to be from the actual dispensaries because they have the filters and everything off. I rip them off because I don't like the filters. So I don't know if someone like bought like 100 pre-rolls from a dispensary or if they actually rolled them themselves. But I think they're actual dispensary pre-rolls because they're chopped up real. The flour is grinded real fine like the dispensaries do. I'm pretty sure they're dispensary pre-rolls. But it was a sandwich bag with like 50 of them in there. There's like 50 of these things. Oh, what I'm gonna
you want
do
to see a
with
What's
clip
them.
this?
of something really interesting that happened today?
Yes. Yes.
This was on a show called Locale Babes. It only had,
Tech, let's gay up Fupa and Phantom back together again.
shut the
Let's
fuck
just figure out a way to just manipulate that situation to happen again.
Oh my god.
The only reason why is because, okay, Phantom
Gay up. I hate that term.
sang that damn
Fupa is this one girl, I guess, back on the
diss
other.
track. It just made me feel like, man, I hope he bags her one more time. You know, like, bro.
Okay, so that's her boss talking about that. Like, let's get her bagged one more time. It's so inappropriate, bro. That's her boss. Keemstar's her boss. Like, what the fuck are you all doing?
How do you feel about that, Fupa?
There she's Fupa. I think Fupa's pretty. I don't know why Keemstar kept calling her ugly. I think she's pretty. Fupa's the one on the top right.
No comment.
Speechless.
I mean, what am I
I
going
feel
to say
like
at this point?
this is just my feeling, is that we aren't seen as human beings. We're seen as content. And anywhere content can be made or forced, it's going to happen no matter how many times someone has told you, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. Like, he's just going to try and force it to happen. And I don't understand where the line is.
Poor Fupa.
Yep.
I
Like, I don't even know what to say anymore.
Like I had said the other day, I don't feel like hopping on other shows anymore. I won't be going up if they're just asking me to go up. If I want to be there, I'll be there. But I've gotten to the point where it just feels so fucking manipulative. The whole idea of just stirring up drama for all this other bullshit.
That's the Keemstar method, Rotary. They're learning what the Keemstar method is. It's stir up fabricated drama. And who gives a fuck if anyone gets hurt in the process? As long as you cash in on it. These people are getting chewed up by it. They don't want to do it anymore.
Not for me. And Keem was like, we have to do it. I was like, no, it's, it's not happening. It makes no sense. It's like fabricated dirty drama between co-hosts that you're supposed to like work with and gain trust with and be a team with. All you're doing is just setting each other up to fucking fail and get Fupa to quit. No, why? I don't want Fupa to quit. I want Fupa to enjoy herself in the LCU. If we can find content.
I kind of like this guy. This is the first time I've encountered this guy in the LCU, the one on the bottom. I'm going to have to ask Broken Hip who he is. But he seems to actually make a little more sense than the rest of them.
That is fun to do. That's engaging. That's fulfilling. Let's fucking do that. That TikTok video you talked about that you saw about the girl and the marriage or whatever and that whole thing. I'm down to do that content on Bus after this whole Paradise. Oh, Boogie's money's being used for something he didn't agree to. Or let's do it again.
Versus Pit. I just want to formally say,
Dude, I need one of those microphones, Rotary, that she's got. The Fupa has that you can hold. That thing's cool.
I am Team Pit.
Yeah, how could you get anything else, dude? Life has been fucking
Fupa's sad.
Yeah. Well, also, Yo Mama has just been my favorite creator in the LCU since I've been here. It's probably one of the only shows that I've ever watched because I genuinely wanted to be entertained in that moment and not just for research or work purposes.
Dude, she's been totally different ever since he said that shit to her.
Riley.
What is up? How's everybody doing? Oh, right.
Holy shit.
Not too bad.
We're great.
Are you? Because
Can you
I
tell?
just hear a bunch of complaining and a meeting about what's going on. What are y'all doing today on the show? All y'all been doing is complaining and hating on the LCU and yay TikTok.
That's not even
We only
true.
talked about it for like the past 10 minutes.
Yeah. You know what it is?
Girl.
It's the same thing that happens with everyone in the LCU that has haters. It's someone help, the show has no content. There's no plan here. And then someone has to hop and be like, ha, you have no plan. And then they can talk about it on their show tomorrow. So it's
your
more fucking
content on
reused
gay
drama.
got my ass in trouble.
That's fine. Wait, what happened to you?
Yeah.
I'm
One of the shows is called Law Cows Gay. That's the actual name of the show.
community manager. I didn't tell Keem about it. I thought he already knew because it's gonna get shut down. So what are we doing today on the show? What are we talking about? What's the plan today?
Well, you're not the guest, and we don't really want to have you on here, Riley. But we appreciate you coming up for the moment.
But as the community manager and on the management team, what's the plan
No,
for
don't
today?
come up here and have us expose the fucking plan for the show unless you have a
Oh,
complaint.
now that hag is the community manager. Who was the last community manager? I forget.
You've witnessed yourself.
Steak,
Okay,
maybe?
okay, I
Then
have
we
a
can go
complaint.
into it.
Why are y'all complaining about the LCU so much in first 38 minutes?
It's good content. It was literally the
Oh,
complaint.
It's not.
Oh
People are
my
complaining
god,
about
don't do
it.
this shit to me. It was
I'm actually
literally
concerned about that for people.
Yeah, Fupa brought it up, and that was a part of the conversation, which, as you can tell, is an interesting
And then
thing
we
to
went
talk
back to
about.
complaining about the LCU.
Because it's good and it flows. But this whole thing of like,
Isn't
we're
that
gonna
what
judge
Yo
you
Mama
if you
does
have
every
content or
day
not.
on his show? Every day
Yeah,
on
but at
Twitter,
least he has
complains.
clips and stuff. You did pull up one clip, though. I will say that.
As it naturally progressed with the thing we were
She's
covering.
got a
Look,
big
if
roach
we're
clip.
carrying 1,300 viewers on a stream, thank
I
you,
was just
Xylee.
doing my job. Sorry.
I appreciate it.
She's got a big ass extended roach clip.
Good optics.
That's funny.
Open a Chime checking account
Oh,
in 2 minutes, and we'll
I
spot
gotta
you
get
up
an
to
ad
$200.
blocker, dude.
Apply now.
I just haven't had
And
time
so, like,
to
are
do
we
it.
not allowed to talk about situations that we're going through in the LCU while we're making LCU content?
Apparently not.
Apparently
Yeah,
not.
apparently it needs to become, someone needs to come in and shut it down. Hurry. Shh.
Yeah, we just need to start fighting with each other, apparently.
Yeah. God
it.
damn.
All right, let's
Xylie's
move on to
content
this
is
shit.
just other people's content with her talking about
Actually,
it.
I did want
And
to
what
see
is the
where
content she
Keem
talks
came
about?
in.
The else.
And I don't want that to happen. I love y'all here.
Talk, which is
Here it is.
For what your TikToks were, it sounds like y'all are about to leave and joining TikTok. That's what you make.
19 times.
Okay, well, you
Kennedy
can't
made
say
it-
that about me.
Yeah, well,
I've
no,
come
not
up
a-
here like maybe what 3?
Not about you, but for sure.
I haven't been watching the show. I've been busy
Here it
mowing the
is.
lawns in the dark. What's going on?
Nothing.
Apparently, you guys have issues with me.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna get something. I'm just gonna download a browser, a specific browser that has one. I just haven't had time to do anything.
No.
No.
Yeah, who said that?
That's what I heard. I don't know.
Keeps so.
You always
Let
get
me
one
go
guy.
back and read this.
I know.
You always get like someone said you were doing this.
I'm getting one guy by other host.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
You guys were saying that you want to co-stream on TikTok, which is no, that's dumb.
Yeah, that was said as a joke, right? We laughed about it, how ridiculous it was.
Yes.
Did
The
it get you-
Discord is riding over the meeting the bus is having. What meeting are you guys having?
we're
Dude,
planning the content for.
he's such a freaking tyrant. Like something was happening without Keemstar knowing about it, and I can not express how just I don't know, like on a different level you are when he does not really let them come on unless they're on camera, but he's rarely on camera. So it's almost like he's the like Wizard of Oz behind the curtain or something. Yeah, for some reason it really irks me that he's too fucking shallow to show his face right now, but he'll come on and badger them.
For the Vegas trip. We're talking about the people being involved and what opportunities we might have while we're out there. But again, those are just people trying to complain because they.
Yeah, we want
hate
the chat to be
show.
involved.
Wait, why would the Discord be upset over that?
Because
We're not up there fighting and at each other's throats. That's all. That's the only thing that's entertaining to them. That and pouring mustard all over ourselves.
True.
You said a host told you that? What host was that?
Pouring, but they do always try to get him to pour shit on them. So.
Was it
Yeah, I'm not
Xylee?
going to say, but Xylee has been talking in main chat.
Go. Oh, L, no content. Where's the show plan? What are you guys even doing? Meeting on a show.
So now I get it. You're planning the show on the show. Yeah. That's like a no. Yeah.
We're not planning the show on the show. We're talking about content we can do in Vegas together.
Yeah, and having
All right,
the chat be
it's a
involved.
big job to do.
All right, enjoy your lawn care, Keem. We'll talk to you later.
You're literally an old man cutting his grass.
So you're an old woman.
I'm gonna rewind this. So that's where it started to go off the rails, is when dude kind of stuck it to Keem there.
The show on the show. Yeah. That's like a no. Yeah.
We're not planning the show on the show. We're talking about content we can do in Vegas together.
Yeah, and having
All right,
the chat be
it's a
involved.
big job to do.
All right, enjoy your lawn care, Keem. We'll talk to you later.
You're literally an old man cutting his grass.
So you're an old woman with no man.
I am not old.
You look it.
It's the guy.
You are literally an old man cutting his grass.
The show on the show. Yeah. That's like a no. Yeah.
We're not
Look at
planning
her
the show on the
face,
show.
dude.
We're talking about content we can
Look
do.
at what's her name, Fuma, or what? Her face. She's so irritated. No, I don't think she looks old. She's pretty. Yeah, I don't, dude. But she's ready to go off.
do in Vegas together.
She might be my new favorite lolcat.
Yeah, and having
All right,
the chat be
it's a
involved.
big job to do.
All right, enjoy your lawn care, Keem. We'll talk to you later.
You're literally an old man cutting his grass.
So you're an old woman with no man.
I am not old.
Well,
You look it.
It's the the guy that dyes his beard and is bald.
Yeah, but I actually am old. You just look old. That's the difference.
You know when he says those like corny lines and then he laughs like it was a slam dunk? That Butt Beacon does that too. Like he laughs at his own jokes and it's like, dude, that wasn't funny. That was just kind of mean.
Old. You are old.
Yeah,
and
I
you're doing
am
old
old.
man things.
Yes, I am old. You look old.
These are, dude, and this is the thing is he went out and hired these people. These are his employees. That's why it's egregious. It's because this is a boss and his employee. It's the relationship he creates.
I
That's the
don't look
difference.
old, bitch, please. No, I don't.
And talk shit, get hit. You mad?
Funny.
You're just mad that I'm taller than you.
I don't.
You
wanna-
are taller than my
Game.
size 6 shoe.
I
Where's she at?
appreciate you,
Repeating the
Keem.
same joke over
Can
and
we-
over again.
Can we see
He's right
you
there.
next time, Keemstar? Can we go on to the next part of our show?
Why are you trying to kick me off? I feel like the chat likes
It
me here.
becomes the same shit every time. Fupa makes a comment about you. You make a comment about her. Then Foxy
Tell you
hops
what,
in.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. There has to be somebody in the chat that hates me. Kick me for a 50. I'm down.
Oh, my
Oh God! Now
There
he's gonna
has
say-
to be
Can we bring
someone
Andrea
there that
up?
hates me.
So
Oh.
now he's saying if the chat throws down $50, I'll leave.
Dude, please.
That's
chat.
kind of funny.
They're
Yeah,
saying
no,
W
poor man.
Keem.
Also,
Even his employees clown him and don't like him. It's crazy.
you don't have to worry about us leaving the LCU for fucking TikTok. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, but I don't understand. Why are we going over there to hang out with those people? Why don't we have them on the show?
Well, one,
like it
it's
doesn't
fun.
seem like they respect you.
One, it's
They
fun.
don't-
It's fun to be over there. And two, we can't get them to come over here. They don't want to be in the LCU. But three,
We tried.
also, I
They're hanging out doing projects with people that don't want to be associated with Keemstar in the LCU, and it pisses Keemstar off. Either he feels like he's going to lose them to other opportunities, or he'll explain it, but that's kind of the dynamic.
like
And
to
get
carve
new
miniatures,
people.
and I like to write in my little journal. That's my free time. I enjoy it. I'm gonna do it because
Hold
it's
on,
fun.
hold on, guys. If these people don't want to come over here and pop on the show, that's totally fine. It just works against the show. It doesn't help the show. I don't see it.
Keem,
Like, how?
I can't go live for 5 hours on bus. I have a scheduled time. If I want to do more shit, I'm gonna do more shit. Right? It's not like I can put this energy back in a bus and live stream here additional hours. And I can't convince people to come on the LCU because they hate you or they hate the concept of being called a lolcow or some other negative shit.
They hate you, or they hate the concept of being called a lolcow. So that's why people refuse to come on these and be on any kind of LCU project.
But it's still fun.
Bro, just can you do a poll? Just ask the chat.
What are you talking about?
Yo, Stephanie.
And
how you
that's where it's a cult, because it's like you're betraying us. You're betraying the LCU to go work with other people who don't want to be associated with the
so
LCU.
healthy?
It's all in the wrist.
It's a cult.
Give us
It's
a
a fame
It's all in
cult,
the
is
wrist.
what they call
So,
it.
All you gotta say is
It's all in the wrist.
Nexium functioned really similarly, believe it or not.
The new Crispy Farm Pan, only at Pizza Hut. Crispy, cheesy,
I
next
gotta
level.
get-
it now for
Yeah,
only $10.
I got next stream. I'll have the ad blocker.
I don't want to be the party pooper. All I'm saying is let's just try to get guests on our show, right? If those people are definitely not coming over, we shouldn't waste time hanging out with them anymore. We should find people that we want to mingle with and want to come on the show.
What is this time?
If they don't want to come over, if they're not cool with me, we shouldn't waste our time on them. That's what he just told them. Because I guarantee a lot of it is people don't want to be associated with Keemstar. He's kind of like a black cloud, like on the internet. He's the butt of a lot of jokes. People don't want to be connected to him. And Wings and Boogie. It's just the way it is.
Wasted. Are you saying don't do TikTok at all, or do TikTok but find people that will come up?
But yeah, I mean, if you were doing TikTok to land guests, yeah, that would make sense. But you're telling me that you hang out with these people and because they're not going to come on your platform ever. So
Well,
then you're like looking like a desperate little doggy over there on their platform. Like it's just not.
This TikTok thing has been like a week or two. It's not had enough time to hit the ground and actually look for other opportunities for the show, but it is getting there, and there are other opportunities.
We actually got 3 people to come on bus from us hanging out on TikTok. Okay, we had Jordan.
Well, I think like it honestly comes across as you just don't want us to be on any other platform.
I just don't understand why we can't do both.
Live streaming, then you want us to be on bus live streaming.
And now I want you guys are putting all this time and energy that's going viral on TikTok, but it's not going viral on the show. So yes, I would like the show to have the fucking love and attention, not the TikTok. I mean, that makes sense, right? I mean, I think all these people here with green names would probably want a good show.
It's a win-win. Buzz is growing, it's thriving. Maybe not monetarily, but that shit happens.
I really don't want to loop again, but I'll just loop for just one more time, right? Like, if you guys are going over there to help the show, cool.
What a dig. So you can't do side projects. Like that's almost like, because these guys are almost like freelancers. They're freelance content creators. He's saying if you are part of the LCU, that's all you can do. You only represent the LCU. You can't do side projects. That's a fucking cult. That's not a job. That's insane. That he's just being out front with it.
Going over there just to be Zio's pawn and help her show, then I think you're an idiot.
Live is dead. You may as well.
Pretty wild, man. That's Ozzy Cobb. If anyone wants to go check that out. All right, let's I want to see how long is this one. Oh man, that's like an hour. So let's get into the Screech stuff. We'll watch this one first. And I'll skip through it a little bit.
$1,000 per episode. To put
This is story of an actor in America. I don't know if the newer generations know about this guy.
Bring the match home.
Or not, but cuz dude, I asked about him on my group chat and people didn't even know who the fuck I was talking about. But it's Screech from Saved by the Bell, and the reason I found it interesting, the reason I find this story interesting is because I have a interest in typecasting. There's this thing called typecasting where you can be an actor who portrays such a memorable character that it actually ruins your career. And it's happened with people like Jim Varney playing Ernest in the Ernest series. And this is what happened to Dustin Diamond here. Is Screech was such a powerful character that there was no life after that character. When he tried to get other movie roles, people were like, dude, no one's going to take it seriously. Another example would be like Steve Urkel. The guy that played Steve Urkel probably struggled with this.
And finding out he had cancer, it was hearing that Saved by the Bell was coming back in 2020 without him. While every other cast member got the call to return, Dustin was the only one left out in the cold. There were no texts, no explanations. Being deliberately erased from the reunion was a brutal message. To his old friends, he simply didn't exist anymore.
It's sad,
man. It's
man.
hard to believe this rejected man.
I never knew this guy was going through, because he was the butt of every joke. And the way they portray this story, it's like, dude, I feel bad. Like, it's the sad clown story.
Was once Screech, the lovable curly-haired goofball who made millions laugh throughout the 90s. That role was his greatest triumph, making him a household name, but it also trapped him forever as a perpetual teenager.
I was raised on this goofy-ass television show called Saved by the Bell. And, yeah, I don't know, I started going down this rabbit hole.
Joy to the world, yet when his time ran out, he passed away in silence, completely alone without the TV family he once loved. Born in January 1977 in San Jose, California, Dustin entered the world just as the region was beginning its transformation into what we now know as Silicon Valley. He was the son of a digital electronics engineer and a computer operator. It was a middle-class Jewish household grounded in logic and technology, far removed from the glitz of Los Angeles. By all accounts, the young Dustin was a bright, precocious
Look
child.
at that in a picture of him. I've never seen when he was that young. They'll show it, but he first showed up on the series. They were portraying junior high school kids. And I find out the school's actually in Indiana that they're supposed to be in.
He possessed a sharp intellect and a natural frantic energy that, in a classroom setting, might have been labeled as disruptive, but on a stage, read as electric. Beyond acting, the young Dustin harbored a private passion that few fans knew about. He was a chess prodigy and a talented musician.
I didn't know this stuff
Before the
either.
world branded him a clumsy nerd, he found solace in the mathematical precision of chess, a game where he could control the board and predict outcomes, something he would never be able to do in his chaotic adult life. He eventually tried to share this intellectual side with the world, releasing an instructional video titled Dustin Diamond Teaches Chess.
I never knew
A
that.
sincere attempt to
The character Screech is on the chess team in the series. There's episodes that are based around chess, and I never knew that the actor actually was a chess prodigy.
pivot his image from clown to strategist,
Never knew that.
though it was largely ignored by the public.
I played
Furthermore,
chess growing
he
up.
was an accomplished bassist. He didn't just dabble, he idolized
Look at
serious
that.
musicians.
I didn't know that
Justin
shit
Chancellor
either.
of the band Tool. This passion materialized in his adulthood when he formed and played bass for an alternative metal band called Salty the Pocket Knife. The music was heavy, complex, and dark, a sonic rebellion against the bubblegum pop image he was forced to project. This creates a heartbreaking contrast. The boy who wanted to be a stoic, cool rock star was forced to become the face of uncool clumsiness. He had a face that was rubbery and expressive, capable of contorting into exaggerated expressions of shock, fear, or joy that could be read from the back row of a theater. He
That must have been when he was on Saturday Night Live. That looks like the
had a
paintings
knack
they
for
do.
timing, that elusive, unteachable rhythm that separates a person who says funny things from a truly funny person. However, behind the scenes of this precocious childhood lay the foundation for his future resentments. Dustin would later reveal a deep sense of betrayal
Dude, I saw that picture and I thought he kind of looked like King Milkfart in that photo.
regarding his upbringing, specifically
Good looking
targeting
dude.
his parents.
Once he got a
claimed that
little
the
older.
people who should have protected him were the first to exploit him.
It's a continuing theme in childhood actors. His parents basically robbed him blind, of course.
In painful admissions later in life, Dustin alleged that his parents and early management mishandled his earnings with staggering incompetence. He estimated that of the millions he earned as a child star, his parents had spent or mismanaged a massive portion before he even reached adulthood. This
To earn millions in those days was different too. Millions of dollars. If you're not aware of this show and these actors, Zach Morris, AC Slater, everyone recognizes him now. They were the biggest thing on the planet at one time.
early
Kelly Kapowski was Tiffany Amber Thiessen.
familial betrayal instilled in him a deep-seated distrust of authority and a belief that he was viewed by everyone, even his own blood, as nothing more than a walking paycheck. The
Sad.
estrangement from his family became so severe that for long stretches of his adult life, Dustin ceased communication with them entirely. He often spoke of feeling like an orphan despite having living parents, a psychological scar that undoubtedly made his desperate need for acceptance from his television family even more intense. When his mother
Sandy.
passed away, the distance
Come on.
between them was so great that the unresolved grief likely compounded his emotional isolation, leaving him without a foundational support system when the industry turned its back on him. His entry into the world of entertainment was not a slow, arduous climb up the ladder. It was a vertical launch. Most actors spend years toiling in obscurity, facing rejection after rejection. Dustin Diamond found himself in the crosshairs of destiny almost immediately. By the time he was barely out of elementary school, he was already working. In the late 1980s, NBC was looking to capture a specific demographic, the tweens. They wanted a show that bridged the gap between cartoons and adult sitcoms.
I don't understand the red cards. Think of cards in football.
And I was right in that demographic at that time. I was the perfect age that they were trying to aim at. I was aging out of cartoons, but still not an adult. I was probably like I don't know, maybe 11 or 12 when I first started watching Saved by the Bell. Here was the
Experiment was a
first
show
step.
titled Good Morning, Miss.
This was the pilot. It wasn't called Saved by the Bell first. It was called Good Morning, Miss Bliss. And that teacher, the older lady, she was gone in the full when they picked up the series. This was the original cast. And I did see these episodes. Max, the kid on the far right, he was gone after when they picked up the show, and the girl on the far left with the red ponytail, she was also gone. The rest of them, Lisa Turtle, Zach Morris, and Screech all went on to the full show.
Bliss, starring the legendary Haley Mills. The show was set in Indianapolis, far from the sunny beaches of California, that would later define the franchise.
Because Saved by the Bell, when they picked up the show, is in Bayside, California. The original show wasn't supposed to be in Indianapolis, Indiana, which is weird that they would pick Indianapolis. I guess they just wanted a typical, high school or junior high school is what it was supposed to be.
Casting call went out for a diverse group of students to fill the classroom of the titular Miss Bliss. They needed the troublemaker, the fashionista, and they needed the nerd. When an 11-year-old Dustin Diamond walked into the audition room, the producers saw something undeniable. He was small for his age, gangly, and possessed a voice that hadn't yet decided if it wanted to be a baritone or a soprano. He was, in a word, perfect. He didn't just act the part of the awkward outsider. He embodied the physical essence of it. He landed the role of Samuel Screech Powers, a character written to be the foil to the charming, handsome Zach Morris. It is important to note the sheer magnitude of this achievement. Thousands of children audition for pilots every year. Most pilots never get made. Of those that get made, most never get picked up to series. Of those that get picked up, most are canceled within a season. Dustin Diamond at age 11 had beaten odds.
That line was interesting to me. How it went through the odds of a pilot actually getting picked up and becoming a primetime show. He said it was like winning the lottery.
Comparable to winning the lottery.
Yeah, right here.
Good Morning, Miss Bliss ran for 13 episodes before being canceled. In the normal ecosystem of Hollywood, that should have been the end of it. Dustin should have gone back to...
They called it, when they released those episodes, they called it Saved by the Bell Junior High or something. They didn't call it Good Morning, Miss Bliss.
To regular school in San Jose, a minor footnote in TV history. But the executives at NBC saw potential in the younger cast members. They decided to retool the show, move the setting to the fictional Bayside High in Pacific Palisades, California, and rebrand it with a snappier title, Saved by the Bell. They kept Mark Paul Gosselaar, Lark Voorhees, and, crucially, Dustin Diamond. When Saved by the Bell premiered in August 1989, it didn't just succeed.
Mr. Belding, the principal, that was the most memorable character of the whole show.
It exploded. It became the cornerstone of the TNBC Saturday morning lineup. For millions of children around the world, Bayside High became more real than their own schools. For a child actor, the numbers involved were staggering. As the show found its footing and transformed into a global juggernaut, Dustin's salary skyrocketed. What started as a modest paycheck ballooned rapidly. At the absolute peak of the franchise, which ran from the original series
Listen to this.
through the prime time, the college years, and eventually the new class, Dustin was reportedly earning between $10,000 and $20,000 per episode. To put that into perspective, in the early 1990s, earning $20,000 a week was a fortune for an adult executive, let alone a teenager. It was never work again money. It was the American dream distilled into a
Never work again money.
weekly check. His family moved to save and invest. There was a sense that the Diamond family was set for life. He was a teenager who could buy anything he wanted: video games, gadgets, real estate. He was the golden boy. However, that massive salary came with a non-negotiable condition. He had to be Screech. To keep the checks coming, Dustin had
That's the rub. You gotta stay Screech. You can't change.
to commit to a form of public humiliation on a weekly basis. Screech Powers was not just a nerd in the way modern TV nerds are portrayed, often brilliant, misunderstood geniuses. Screech was a caricature of incompetence. He was loud, he was physically clumsy, he was socially repulsive, and he was completely lacking in self-awareness. Dustin Diamond was a talented actor, but he was forced to paint with only one color. He had to be the squeaky-voiced loser. He had to scrunch up his face, flail his limbs, and allow himself to be the target of every prank and insult the writers could conjure. He did this for 259 episodes. Imagine the psychological impact of that repetition. That is 13 years, the entirety of his adolescence and young adulthood spent.
And I guess what started to happen is how he was the butt of joke of every episode. He became that to the cast in real life. They didn't want to be around him. It's really sad, man.
Waking up every morning and putting on the skin of a character designed to be mocked. We often discuss typecasting as a professional hurdle, a barrier to getting future roles. But for Dustin, typecasting was a psychological cage. He was wearing what we might call golden handcuffs. The money was too good to walk away from, but the cost was his identity. The world,
Dude, it's so powerful.
didn't see Dustin Diamond, the intelligent kid from San Jose who loved playing bass guitar and chess. They saw Screech. They approached him on the street and expected him to do the voice. They laughed at him, not with him. The physical toll of this performance was often overlooked. Dustin was required to maintain a high-pitched, nasal vocal register that was unnatural for a developing boy and later a grown man. He had to adopt a hunched, awkward posture and perform constant slapstick routines, falling over furniture, getting hit with objects, and contorting his body. This wasn't just mental exhaustion, it was a physical endurance test where the reward for his athleticism was looking like a fool.
When I heard that line, I thought back to all the episodes where they put him in, they would cover him in crap and put him in bad situations and throw him off things and, like they said, throw him over furniture. And no one else was doing that stuff on the cast. It was just Screech that stuff would happen to. And yeah, his job probably was more difficult than the rest of the cast. And Zach, Mark, all he had to do was look handsome, get his hair done, and look like the cool guy. And look at the clothes they made him wear. I mean,
As the show progressed, the line between the
look how he's dressed in that fucking thing.
boy and the role began to blur in the cruelest way possible. The audience couldn't separate the two. And perhaps more dangerously, Dustin began to wonder if there was any difference himself. He was being conditioned, paycheck by paycheck, to believe that his value to the world lay solely in his ability to be the fool. Yet,
Sad.
the golden handcuffs of typecasting were only one bar of the cage. While Dustin struggled internally with the warping of his identity, he was simultaneously navigating a treacherous external environment. He may have been the star of the show on paper, but when the director called cut, the power dynamic shifted instantly. To the audience, Bayside High was a paradise of friendship. But for the boy behind the mask of Screech, the set was about to become the loneliest place on earth. There is a pervasive, almost cherished myth surrounding Saved by the Bell. It is the myth that the chemistry we saw on screen was a reflection of a genuine, tight-knit family off-screen. Fans desperately want to believe that Zach, Kelly, Slater, Jesse, Lisa, and Screech were a band of best friends who grew up together on the NBC lot, sharing milkshakes and secrets between takes. We want to believe that the warmth of Bayside High was real. The reality, however, was a stark, cold hierarchy, and Dustin Diamond was firmly, immovably anchored at the bottom of it. While the show projected an image of
So
inclusivity,
depressing.
a place where the jock, the cheerleader, and the nerd could all sit at the same table, the backstage environment was a brutal replication of the very high school cliques the show claimed to dismantle. It was a caste system.
Yeah, we'll get to Croatia. It's gonna be the next one. We're watching the legacy of Screech right now, bro.
And Dustin was the untouchable.
Dude, KMF, this guy went through hell, man.
To understand why Dustin Diamond eventually turned against the franchise that made him, one must understand the profound loneliness of his daily existence during the show's gold.
He died recently, and I never realized just how rough his life was. His parents spent all of his money. By the time he was 18, most of his money was gone. He went broke. He got sick. It was a story that kind of grabbed me, and there's something about typecasting that interests me. Actors, actresses that get severely typecasted because basically they're a victim of their own success. Like they portray such a great character that they can never leave it behind, and it's always grabbed me that when that happens, and this is one of those situations.
Era. The primary fissure.
I was gonna stream for a while, so I'm still gonna play the Croatia one. Yeah, I know. I just save stuff to my YouTube that's intrigued me lately, and then sometimes I'll chop them up and put them in different videos and stuff.
Not talent, nor was it personality.
I had these ones on there, and I didn't get to
initially.
Because I had to run out and shit.
To an adult, an age gap of 3 years is negligible.
This is important because this explains why Screech was so left out in the group. He was 3 years younger than the rest of the cast. So they were all like, he'll explain.
A 25-year-old and a 28-year-old are peers. But in the volatile developmental crucible of childhood and adolescence, 3 years is a lifetime. It is a canyon that separates entirely different stages of human development. When Saved by the Bell began to truly find its rhythm, Dustin was roughly 11 or 12 years old. So
he was 11, 12 years old, and Zach and Kelly and Slater and them were like 14, 15. Yeah, you're not going to fit in.
Pubescent, playing with action figures, riding a bicycle, and viewing the world through the lens of a child. In contrast, his co-stars, Mark Paul Gosselaar, Mario Lopez, and Elizabeth Berkley, were 15 or 16. They were in the throes of mid-adolescence. They were obtaining driver's licenses. They were driving cars. They were discovering dating, relationships, and the nightlife of Los Angeles. This created an insurmountable barrier. When the cameras cut, the older kids had absolutely nothing in common with Dustin. While Mark, Paul, and Mario were discussing cars or girls, Dustin wanted to talk about video games or practical jokes. He was not a peer to them. He was a nuisance. He was the annoying little brother that mom forced you to bring along to the movies. You
So sad, bro. I didn't have any idea that was happening to Screech.
Tolerated him because you had to, but you didn't engage with him. As the seasons progressed, the separation hardened into exclusion. The cool kids on the show, the actors playing Zach, Slater, and Kelly, formed a legitimate, real-life clique. They bonded over their shared experience of becoming teen idols. They dated one another in a rotating geometry of teenage romance that Dustin was completely shut out of. There are stories from that era that paint a devastatingly lonely picture of Dustin's youth.
Oh. So, they didn't say what Tiffany Amber Thiessen's age was at the time. I think she might have been closer to Dustin's age. But it mentions here that he became friends with Mr. Belding. That's who his only friend was.
When the cast would organize trips to Disneyland, movie nights, or weekend parties at producer Peter Engel's house, Dustin was frequently simply not invited. It wasn't necessarily an act of active malice. They just didn't think of him. He didn't fit the vibe. He wasn't one of the lads. Mario Lopez, in his later years, admitted this dynamic with a candid, albeit brutal, honesty. He noted that Dustin didn't flow naturally with the rest of the group. He described Dustin as a permanent outsider. This isolation drove
a permanent outsider. He played bass too. He was in a punk rock band. He seemed like a really cool guy.
Dustin to seek approval elsewhere on set. Interestingly, the person he remained closest to over the years wasn't one of the other teenagers, but Dennis Haskins, the actor who played Mr. Belding. Haskins often acted as a protector and a true friend when the younger cast alienated Dustin. This dynamic is telling. Dustin was so socially
I always knew Mr. Belding was a good guy in real life.
By his peers that he had to find companionship with the adults, further deepening his disconnection from his own generation. Dustin felt this exclusion acutely. In later interviews, he recalled the stinging sensation of hearing his co-stars making plans right in front of him, plans that clearly did not include him. He would watch them leave the set together, laughing and piling into cars, while he waited for his parents to pick him up. He was the star of the show, yet he was socially invisible.
I don't know if you could say he was the star of the show. I would say Zach was probably the star of the show, but he was one of the standout casts.
Dynamic created a bizarre psychological feedback loop, a form of reverse method acting that blurred the lines between fiction and reality until they were indistinguishable. On screen, the character of Screech was written as the outsider. He was the one desperately trying to be cool, the one trying to emulate Zach and Slater, the one who was constantly rebuffed, mocked, or used as a pawn in their schemes. The script explicitly told the other actors, "You are cool, he is a dork. You are valuable, he is a joke." Off-screen, this dynamic was perfectly preserved. Dustin was the outsider trying to hang out with his popular colleagues. He was the one trying to crack jokes to gain their acceptance, only to be met with eye rolls. Imagine the toll this takes on a developing mind. You spend your formative years, puberty, your first grasp of social identity, being told both by the script you memorized and by the peers you admired that you do not belong, that you are lesser, that you are there to be the butt of the joke. The producers and writers, perhaps unintentionally, reinforce this. By constantly writing Screech as the irritant, they gave the older cast members permission to treat Dustin as an irritant. If Mario Lopez spent all week acting like he was annoyed by Screech, it became muscle memory to be annoyed by Dustin. The boundary between the character's uncoolness and the actor's social standing evaporated. It was here, in the hallways of the fake Bayside High, that the seed of resentment was planted. It was a slow-growing poison. At the time, Dustin tried to laugh it off. He leaned into the role. He tried harder to be funny, louder, more chaotic, hoping that if he could just make them laugh hard enough, they would respect him. But usually it had the opposite effect. His high-energy antics, which were perfect for the camera, were exhausting in the green room. The more he tried to force his way into the group, the more they withdrew. This rejection did not result in immediate rebellion. Instead, it resulted in a deep, festering wound. Dustin began to view the family narrative of the show as a lie. He saw the smiles of his co-stars in promotional photos as hypocritical. He felt that he was doing just as much work, often the heavy lifting of the physical comedy, but receiving none of the social capital. He wasn't just playing a loser.
I want to get ahead to when Saved by the Bell ends and he starts trying to go find other acting roles.
You got a clogged drain?
Because that's an important part, is when after Saved by the Bell, after the role that usually ends up getting them typecasted, that's where it gets hard, is when they try to move on and do something different. And
he had bought a house. He had expenses. He had the overhead of an actor's life, agents, publicists, travel. The math became terrifyingly simple. At his peak, he was earning nearly $500,000 a year. By 2001, just 1 year after the show ended, his income had plummeted to roughly $20,000. That is a 96% drop in revenue. It is a financial whiplash that few people could survive. He was burning through his savings just to keep the lights on. The golden boy was hemorrhaging cash and the phone wasn't ringing. The descent from stardom to struggle is usually hidden behind the high gates of Hollywood Hills mansions. But Dustin's fall was public, visceral, and humiliating. In a desperate bid to save his home in Wisconsin from foreclosure, Dustin resorted to a stunt that signaled the end of his dignity. He began selling t-shirts. They weren't merchandise for a new project. They were...
I do remember this. When he was selling the t-shirts, the Save Screech's House shirts.
A plea for charity.
It was sad.
The shirts read in bold letters, "I paid $15 to save Screech's house." He sold them on his website. He went on talk shows not to promote a movie, but to promote his own poverty. He sat on radio interviews explaining that a banking error and a bad contract had left him destitute. For the public, this was a spectacle. It was tragedy porn. People bought the shirts not because they wanted to help, but because it was ironic. It was a novelty item.
I remember one thing that helped save him was there was a show called The Surreal Life, and it took like washed up celebrities and brought them all to live together in a reality show setting, and everyone really liked him, and I think that helped kind of save him.
A souvenir from the wreckage of a celebrity train wreck. For Dustin, it was a profound degradation. He was effectively begging his fans for spare change. The man who had once been the king of Saturday morning was now panhandling on the digital street corner. He filed for bankruptcy in 2001. He would do so again later in his life. The millions were gone, swallowed by bad investments, the cost of living, trusted advisors who may not have been trustworthy, and the simple, brutal fact that he had no income stream. The turn to darkness. It was in this crucible of rejection and poverty that Dustin Diamond changed. The bright-eyed optimism of the kid from San Jose vanished. The hope of becoming a serious actor died a quiet, painful death.
I wanted to play a part, but I missed past it. He actually went and auditioned for roles, and they listed all the stuff, even like simple roles to be like an extra on ER, things like that. And they would all tell him that just having you on camera would be a distraction. Everyone's gonna immediately go, "Holy shit, that's Screech," and that's not what you want. It disrupts. It's a distraction from the story that you're trying to tell, and it's what he got everywhere he went. And I feel like you could have changed his appearance enough at that once he was older, but
He looked at the industry that had used his childhood to sell soap and cereal, and he realized they didn't care if he lived or died. He looked at his former castmates who were moving on to other projects, distancing themselves from him, and he felt abandoned. If the world was going to treat him like a joke, he reasoned, then he would stop trying to be the hero. If Hollywood wouldn't pay him for his talent, he would force them to pay him for his notoriety. Bankrupt, rejected, and ridiculed, Dustin realized that playing by the rules of polite society was getting him nowhere. The industry had decided he was a joke, so he made a fateful decision to stop being the punchline and start delivering the punches. If the world wouldn't give him the respect due to a serious actor, he would demand the attention given to a train wreck. It was a pivot born of despair, marking the beginning of a dark, chaotic era where he would burn down his own reputation in a desperate attempt to stay warm. By the mid-2000s, Dustin Diamond had reached a crossroads that many fading stars face, but few navigate with such destructive force. The industry had rejected him as a serious actor. The public had pitied him as a bankrupt charity case. He was seemingly out of options, but Dustin realized he
like this is his porn
of
days. So
Business card that
I'll
gives back
get through it
all
real
you put
quick.
in.
He went through an era where he had nude a homemade sex film that was released. He kind of did the Paris Hilton thing where he was like, "Well, if it's out, I'm gonna make money off it." It was called Screeched. That got ugly. He just had a lot of scandals, just trying to make any
his
kind of
peers
money
in
he
the
could.
public, he was now a snitch and a liar. He had tried to destroy the reputations of the only people who had ever shared the screen with him. By 2010, the transformation was complete. Dustin Diamond was no longer an actor. He was a caricature of a washed-up celebrity.
Yeah, that's sad, man.
Rapid and tragic countdown.
I want to see when he
Mourning the
passed.
character of Screech, not the man Dustin. They were mourning the nostalgia, the concept of their own youth.
That's a sad story. All right, let's get going on that other documentary. I think that was the only one I wanted to show. This is Frontline by ITN is the channel. It's these archive footages of different wars around Europe, and there's lots of them. If you go to this channel, ITN, you can basically go back and watch day-to-day coverage of all of these mini wars and conflicts. Some of them are like 3-4 parts. This is the one about Croatia. It's called Croatia's Stalingrad, Croatian War of Independence, Battle of Volkovar footage, documentary from 1991. And yeah, this footage was amazing. What grabbed me was this intro. This one lady at the beginning of this, and what she yells at these soldiers as they go by. I was like, dude, I gotta watch this. But this is gonna be the main focus of this episode. This is what KMF was talking about in the chat. It's what I put on the button graphics. So yeah, I didn't mean to let the Screech thing go so long. So here we go. Let's get playing on this.
By the ceasefire.
It's really good. It's a really good channel.
In Yugoslavia, an EC-led convoy heading for the besieged town of Vukovar has come under mortar fire.
Watch this lady.
You're all going.
So between August and November 91, the Croatian town of Vukovar became the site of one of the most devastating urban battles in Europe since the Second World War. So basically, yeah. There is violent war footage in this, just a heads up. It's about an hour
Yugoslavia,
long.
an EC-led convoy heading for the besieged town of Vukovar has come under mortar fire.
This lady. Watch this.
You're all going to die, this woman sobbed. Don't go to Vukovar, it's a trap.
I don't know why that grabbed me. That lady out there begging them, you're all going to die, don't go, it's a trap. Part of the Croatian War of Independence, the battle saw Yugoslav forces and Serbian paramilitaries attack the town, which was defended by Croatian troops and local volunteers, local militia. So these wars are really complicated. I don't know a whole lot about these wars over that in that part of the world and this time in history, and I want to start learning a little bit more about them. So I'm gonna be doing these videos for now, you know, and we'll see how they go. But yeah, this is the one that took place for Croatian independence. Would have been the fall, probably when the Berlin Wall fell.
We are trying to save Yugoslavia.
Just footage.
This is a nation's struggle for independence. I mean, this is history being made here.
We are trying to save Yugoslavia. These Europeans, they're such badasses. This war in Ukraine has really grabbed my attention and kind of pulled me towards that culture and those different regions, and yeah, the conflicts that go on there year to year. One reason I find it kind of interesting, and I don't know why this matters to me though, but it's white people killing white people. You know, it's not about. It doesn't seem to be about tribal, even though the Bosnian one was. It did seem to be about Muslims. The Muslims were the ones targeted in the war in Bosnia, I believe. They call this Croatia Stalingrad, I think. Vukovar.
The big guns of the Yugoslav Federal Army trundled through Croatia. A massive convoy of men and heavy armor over 5 miles long. The largest army troop movement we've seen here in weeks. Just overhead, combat air patrols flew close escort through this potentially hostile country. The Croatians have made it clear they don't want the army on their soil. Helicopter gunships scoured the roadsides for any signs of snipers or ambushes.
The Yugoslav army are on the move in a very big way today. It's rumored that these troops are withdrawing from Slovenia through the state of Croatia. But just where they're going to regroup, nobody's quite sure.
Although the convoy was heading east towards...
So I'm not real sure, like, Yugoslavia and why these forces are moving through. This is stuff that I'm not real educated on.
Belgrade, there was no evidence of the army returning to barracks, though that had been one of the Croatian conditions for a ceasefire. In Belgrade, the federal presidency had finally achieved a cessation of hostilities. Envoys sent to Croatia's disputed areas had won promises from the warring Serbs and Croats to honor a truce. But just how the ceasefire would be...
Croats and Serbs are warring, so Serbia and Croatia seem to be conflicting here. These little countries they call it the Balkans or whatever, they fight with each other, and it's really confusing, and that's what I want to learn more about.
At least had proved the most contentious issue. These Croatian guardsmen and the Serbian militias they faced have always found it hard to agree on an independent force acceptable to both sides. But with Europe reluctant to send in
Okay,
peacekeeping
so it's over who's going to represent them as their military.
troops, the protagonists had been forced to find a mutual solution. If the guns do fall silent overnight, Croatia says it won't break the peace deal.
It will hold for as long as those who have been attacking Croatia and Croatian territories abide by the ceasefire agreement.
For these weary militiamen who've seen weeks of battle and bloodshed, a ceasefire can't come soon enough. They've lost patience with the politicians.
There is just talking and talking and talking, and we're losing our time and our lives.
A Yugoslav army patrol sets off into bandit country, about to monitor the ceasefire in the danger zone where Serbs and Croats have been locked in combat. Crammed inside a personnel carrier with 8 nervous...
So I think the Yugoslavian troops are there as like peacekeepers.
Young conscripts and their officer, we spent 3 hours driving through villages which have seen some of the most vicious fighting. Only last night, one of their comrades was shot dead on this same patrol route. The ceasefire was in force, but we saw no signs of either side pulling back. These armed Serbians still
so yeah,
their...
the Yugoslavian forces are there as peacekeepers, and it's Croatian and Serbian forces clashing. These journalists are rolling with the peacekeepers.
Barricade seemed relieved to see the army patrol. Leaving the village of Tripanja through another checkpoint, we were back in Croatian-held territory. The APC accelerated rapidly for fear of attack. The soldiers claimed they'd been shot at frequently by the Croats.
The Croats are the ones shooting at them.
Units were in defensive positions between many of the divided communities. The soldiers have orders to stay put until the warring militias withdraw out of range of fire. We saw over 50 tanks dug in, apparently forming a buffer zone to keep factions apart. As we rode into Dal, the scene of last week's fierce gun battle, which left at least 22 dead, there was an eerie calm. The few villagers who hadn't fled used the ceasefire to venture out for the first time. What we witnessed was not the widespread destruction claimed by the Croatians. But at the next village, the patrol turned back. Sarvac, where their friend and fellow soldier had been killed last night, was too dangerous, they said. The road ahead was mined. For them, this Croatian-held village was a no-go area.
Well, we've just completed what's known around here as the Triangle of Terror, without a shot being fired at us. And the soldiers seem pretty surprised by that. They're very skeptical about the chances of this ceasefire holding.
In Osijek, where the patrol is based, there's no love lost for the Yugoslav army. Croatians want the outside world to know they view the army as their enemy. The headlines on ceasefire day were not about peace, but featured an article on how to blow up tanks. Nearby, they were burying 20-year-old Mario Vuknic, one of the Croatian guardsmen killed in that shootout at Dal. Though the mood was one of mourning, the whispers were for revenge. Yet, ironically, as a Serbian funeral procession passed by in the same graveyard, they stood aside respectfully.
God, I've seen that before, when rival funeral processions cross and everyone just kind of glances over.
Reminder that this
bizarre.
tragic conflict is being played out amongst neighbors, united in grief but divided by...
This is what I was mentioned earlier. Why these conflicts seem to grab my attention is it's white people killing white people, and like you just said, these are neighbors. And you wonder, man, how these people come to hate each other so much when they have so much in common.
The gun. Jeremy Thompson, user 10 in eastern Croatia.
Want to advertise to an audience that actually pays?
It's an interesting conflict that I didn't even really know much about. I had a girl in my high school that was Croatian exchange
For
student.
Croatia's new recruits, all able-bodied men
She
are
was
now
really
on
cool.
standby for call-out to the National Guard. But it's the mobilization of world support that's become Croatia's top priority, its main hope of preventing more of its young men from dying. Europe's new peace initiative has overtaken Croatia's weekend war deadline. Tank traps stand in readiness around
Like they were training with a real knife.
Zagreb, but the government acknowledges that diplomacy could prove its best defense. At the president's palace, they were changing guards and political tactics, gaining confidence from condemnation of the aggression by Serbia and the Federal Army.
It's quite obvious that the Communist Army, is attacking democracy here, and that defending Croatian boundaries means also defending boundaries of free Europe. And it is so evident today that the world have tremendously shift on our side.
The role of the Federal Army is crucial, but its attitude to the latest peace plan still unpredictable. Croatians admit they're no match for tanks, but believe many soldiers are now demoralized. Outside the army headquarters in Zagreb, mothers renewed the demand for their sons to be released from conscription. There's a growing belief among Croatians that they can win their independence through peace rather than war. Jeremy Thompson, News at 10, Zagreb. The European community is poised to begin the peace process. Its observers are now on standby in Croatia, ready to monitor and guarantee a ceasefire. Dutch Foreign Minister Van den Broek flew into Belgrade in positive mood, knowing that for the first time he had Serbia's backing, the best hope yet of stopping the violence. Though all previous peace initiatives have collapsed, the Serbians are now under immense diplomatic pressure to make this deal work. But on the ground, there's still intense distrust and friction, not helped by the stalemate at Zagreb airport, where federal troops are refusing to hand over a plane load of weapons, which Croatians abroad were trying to smuggle in to help the war effort.
Oh,
Croatian
shit.
special forces now have the airport and the army surrounded, and there have been several firefights. As fires burned across Croatia today after yet more battles, the prospects for a truce looked as gloomy as ever. The Serbian guerrillas who destroyed this Croatian town may well prove beyond the control of their political leaders. Although there are some fresh grounds for optimism, no previous ceasefire here has worked. Everyone now admits the week ahead could be the most critical since the conflict in Croatia began, the making or the breaking of a peace. Though the threat was distant, the defences were being stepped up. Beneath old Zagreb, a Second World War air raid bunker was opened up for the first time in 45 years. Now it's not Allied bombing they fear, but Yugoslavia's own air force. Inside, there's shelter for 4,000 people. The citizens of Zagreb pray it won't be needed. Though they're still hoping that the European peace plan will render these war preparations unnecessary, the Croatians are taking no chances. Jeremy Thompson, ITN, Zagreb.
The
Just
build
across
up.
the River Sava inside Bosnia.
The build up. There's always tension before it pops off.
A war memorial that explains
That's one
much
thing
of
I
the
really
historic
like about these documentaries is you get to see the beginning and then while the war's hot and then the aftermath usually.
hatreds that once again are racking Yugoslavia. In a woodland clearing, the mass graves of 360,000 people slaughtered by the Ustaša, Croatia's Nazi collaborators in World War II.
Wow. Yeah, Croatia did have Nazi forces, Nazi collaborators.
Most of the victims who lie beneath this killing field are Serbians. In the nearby village, those old ethnic fears have been revived. These Serbians, now sheltering in Bosnia, had fled their village just across the bridge in Croatia.
This conflict right here is almost a continuation of the Bosnian Serbian one that we got involved in.
They were refugees barely half a mile from home. Peter Stankovic and his friends told us they'd lost everything: jobs, houses, and hope. Croatian neighbors have become their enemies. Once again, Serbs and Croats were finding it hard to live side by
I've looked in, like I've done some research into it a little bit, and you had a great area. I think it was called might have been Yugoslavia, was the whole area, and then it was broken into little regions like Serbia, Croatia, and this is Croatia trying to become independent. And Yugoslavia is the combined little countries together. If I remember correctly. And a lot of these conflicts were about these like Croatia trying to become independent and break free of Yugoslavia.
By side. Now 200 of them were camped out with friends in Donja Gradina, doubling the village's population. Muklia showed us around the outhouses and cattle sheds where his family were forced to sleep for lack of space. There's no power or water and barely enough food. So far, the crisis has only tainted the fringes of rural Bosnia. But local leader Milenko Tubica believes the violence could easily spill over in...
So yummy.
There we go.
Never trained
We'll
me.
start getting into the real conflict now. They're starting to show battle maps. That's when you know, because the news stations will be showing battle maps where the lines are and stuff.
No, really.
Main thrust, the forward...
in The Hague to discuss the issue. Douglas Hurd will demand tough preconditions if such a force is to be sent, including the need for all sides in the Yugoslav conflict to welcome foreign troops. Ministers from Serbia and Croatia attending Lord Carrington's peace conference, now adjourned until the ceasefire holds, quickly showed there was no universal wish for outside intervention.
It is not in the Serbian tradition to have any sympathy for foreign military presence in the country. For that reason, we don't have the sympathy for any such a proposal.
Croatia, on the receiving end of the bombing, called for European community help.
To send peace, keeping, and if possible, peace-making forces. We know that it's not easy case.
European ministers discuss a military force tonight, but after Lord Carrington's advice that peace prospects remain shaky, they'll find it difficult to reach a firm conclusion. Jeffrey Archer, ITN, The Hague.
Mike, what is the latest on that convoy?
Well, we have no latest. It's way up the road, about 150 kilometers. Our latest report, and it's very hard to get reports here, John, because nobody in Yugoslavia seems to know about this convoy officially. It hasn't been broadcast on the radio or on television, so the only people who really know about it and seen it have been people like us reporting it and people like you watching it outside the country. But my information is that it's beyond the town of Sheed, which is just inside.
Yeah, look, okay,
border, but
this map's good. So this is Yugoslavia. It's all one, like almost like the United States. And then you have Croatia and Serbia and these other little countries that are inside Yugoslavia. And Croatia is trying to gain independence. And I believe this cutoff area up here is Serbia. If I could be wrong about that. And this caused a lot of conflict after the fall of the Soviet Union.
Thrust, the forward tanks are well inside Croatia and may at this moment now be moving much closer and perhaps even into the suburbs of Vukovar. I'm just about, when I finish speaking to you, to jump in a car with the crew and go up and to try and find it and see exactly where it is.
The implication clearly being that it's heading for Croatia to put an end to the fighting.
Well, that would seem to be the most sensible interpretation, John. I can't see why else the Federal Army should mount what is, after all, the biggest mobilization of men and armor since the Second World War. I think you may have seen the pictures we had on ITN last night. It was 50 miles long and took about 5 hours to pass it. I've been convoy
50 miles
and my
long.
caravan, Chris Squires, who covered the Gulf, was also slightly amazed at the size of it. My feeling is, having seen it yesterday and having spoken to people today, is that the army is going in there to deliver a big clout.
Oh,
and Mike,
shit.
Is it your impression that the army is acting unilaterally? Has it abandoned the politicians?
I think it has abandoned the politicians both inside Yugoslavia and outside Yugoslavia.
Wow.
They have gone way beyond what their role as mediator and kind of piggy in the middle role is. they are now taking the initiative. What we saw yesterday and what is happening
So I
today,
was kind of correct. They were the peacekeepers in the mid. He called them Piggy in the middle role, and they're saying we're gonna put an end to this fighting right
up
now.
in Croatia,
Because
eastern
that's
Croatia,
basically
around
the bigger
Vukovar and
force,
possibly now Osijek,
Yugoslavia.
is the army adopting a new get tough role.
It's a massive force, and you know Croatia or Serbia is not gonna have a comparable force to that.
Mike, thanks very much
They're
indeed.
independent,
Good
basically.
evening. The Federal Army commander in Yugoslavia told ITN tonight he'd ordered troops into Croatia to rescue his soldiers besieged by Croatian forces. He said he'd enter any city to free them. There's been fierce fighting all day. Federal and principally Serbian troops with tanks have crossed over into Bosnia-Herzegovina. The president of Bosnia ordered its own territorial defense units mobilized. The Yugoslav president, the Croatian Mr. Stipe Mesic, said there'd been a general's coup. He appealed to troops to desert, not to fight.
Wow.
France and
Holy shit.
Germany said the United Nations Security Council should meet about Yugoslavia.
A general coup that a general had gone rogue? Okay, so yeah, you got Yugoslavia is the whole area. That's insane, bro. Dude, KMF, why I wanted to start doing this series is because this is a part of history I really don't know much about. It's one of the big gaps in my knowledge as far as world history. And so you got Yugoslavia is the whole region, and you got Serbia is basically a region inside Yugoslavia, and Croatia's over here. Okay.
Which crossed into Bosnia, a mixed republic of Serbs, Croats and Muslims, seemed to be headed for Croatia's Adriatic coast. Federal gunboats blockading Split were reported to have hit a British merchant ship. The armoured column, which headed out of Belgrade yesterday for Šid, crossed into eastern Croatia, spreading out to attack Vukovar, Vinkovci and to threaten Osijek. ITN's Michael Nicholson was with the federal Serbian troops.
Yesterday's enormous armoured column is still being added to. On the Zagreb highway, we saw hundreds more supply trucks moving west, 10 miles of them bumper to bumper, among them commercial lorries commandeered to take fuel, food and ammunition forward. The Federal Army has established its garrison at Šid on the Serbian-Croatian border. But going by yesterday's count of tanks, armoured personnel, carriers and field guns, and we saw over 600 of them, about a third were here. The rest have
600 field guns. Holy shit. That is a lot of artillery.
Moving deeper into Croatia, west and northwest, bombarding villages and towns ahead of them. We could see clearly enough where the damage was and then what it was. Borovo Selo on the outskirts of Vukovar, where the Croats had tried to stop the tanks with mines. It stopped none of them.
It stopped none of them.
Serbian irregular forces were slowly clearing the way forward of those Croats who had tried to resist the advance. They did not. Passing back through Šid, we saw a trainload of light tanks arrive, over 50 of them, and with them came their crews who shouted, "We are going to bloody the Croats' nose." Now it seems the
So they moved tanks on shipment trains and then brought the crews in on. That's interesting logistics that they use the actual
so that they can.
public railway.
There
It
are
looked
some
like.
politicians in and outside of Yugoslavia who consider this country to be dead. Then the generals here think otherwise. After all, the Federation was the creation of one of their own, whose portrait and whose legend is big in every barracks, Marshal Tito. The generals have watched the politicians here pull this country apart. They now are waiting to impose their own solution.
And under Tito's picture, General Veljko Kadejevic, who gave the order for the tanks to go in, denied that that implied a war on Croatia. "I did it," he said, "on the orders of the president. I am not acting on my own, but my patience has run out."
General, can we expect to see tanks on the streets of the big Croatian cities?
Our people must be freed. There are many ways, but there is one which is quite simple. That's what we signed at Tigala.
When he keeps saying that they gotta free his people, I don't know if they're talking about like troops that are pinned down in these cities. I'm not sure what he means by that.
Yes, and the other way
He's very bloody.
Because that's what they said the convoy was moving in for first, was to break through and rescue Yugoslavian forces.
That's the new guy we just hired.
Huh, really?
Check out his resume. Been driving forklift longer than you've been alive.
Yeah, dude, it's
Palais.
okay.
He's French.
It's so
Oh,
confusing, man.
Hey, everyone's got their own technique.
The whole region
Newly
is
arrived tanks
confusing.
waiting at Sheet Station is proof enough that General Kadevich will use that option if necessary. Michael Nicholson, News at 10, Serbia.
President Franjo Tuđman visited frontline troops whose task it is to hold the main highway linking Zagreb and Belgrade. Dressed in battle fatigues himself,
He got
told them
Uzis,
the war
man.
had started and they must defend their land.
Look, they got 9mm Uzis. That was all. I haven't seen those on.
And defend Croatia.
Oh,
I hope
shit.
that, Europe would wake up.
His Defense Department, meantime, was
So,
dismissing reports that the
I was gonna, if anybody watched this episode, you know, which I'll probably do it either way, just because I'm interested in it. I was gonna do another one next, maybe, you know, later on in the week. That it's a series, it's the same channel, and it's about the Bosnian, the Kosovo War, or whatever that we got involved in. So I think it'll probably transition into that one.
armored
Because that
convoys had
came
entered
after
Croatia
this,
to liberate
I
Federal Army
believe.
troops. They were here, said a spokesman, to take the
That was
Republic
the
step
one
by
we
step.
sent. Yeah.
Earlier, the capital had its taste of war as three
That's
separate
good
air raid
shit.
alarms were sounded. Shoppers herded together and ran to find shelter. One special place was already reserved for dozens of babies who were hastily transferred from wards at a city maternity hospital to underground rooms where they were packed
It's almost like mainlining history.
by side. Nearby, their anxious mothers gathered, waiting to be reunited when eventually the all-clear came. The Croatians claim tonight that 48 enemy planes set off on bombing raids today, but as yet this city remains unscathed. Meanwhile, there are reports that a fresh column of tanks and armoured personnel carriers set off from Montenegro and is travelling through Bosnia towards Croatia's southern borders. Terry Lloyd, News at 10, Zagreb.
The Federal Army's massive armoured column, which split three ways yesterday, has split again, with dozens of units now spread out across eastern Croatia. Most, as we discovered today, have taken up positions well dug in around the cities of Osijek and Vukovar.
Vukovar.
If they are preparing themselves for something, they look very casual.
Croatia,
It's
Stalingrad.
almost as if they are expecting the Croats to move first. The Croatian president's new ceasefire initiative probably explains the waiting. Borovo Selo is on the outskirts of Vukovar. It is now the front line, and it shows. This man, the local baker, refuses to leave his house, even though it was mortared 4 times yesterday. He's only one of a dozen who've remained in this part of town where thousands once lived.
It's not really funny, but it was mortared 4 times yesterday. Why would you be mortaring that dude's house?
And he illustrates the tragedy of this war of ethnic hatreds. He is a Croat, bombed by Croats, because he happens to have married a Serb and lives among them.
God.
With Vukovar only 4 miles away, these tanks could be there in, 20 minutes, and to Osijek in about 30. But so far, they've done nothing more menacing than to point their guns in both directions. Maybe the generals are hoping that with this show of force, they won't have to go any further, that a ceasefire will be agreed and their garrisons relieved. Maybe this is not so much a stalemate as a standoff. That is until further notice. Michael Nicholson, ITN, on the Croatian-Serbian border.
Dawn at Osijek, seen from the only road now open into the town. Despite being surrounded by Serbian federal forces on 3 sides, the rush hour looks much as normal, including one of the very few passenger trains still running in Croatia. Osijek, the capital of the eastern region of the state, has continued to function despite being the focus of some of the fiercest bombardment from federal forces dug into the east, north,
It's crazy.
and south.
They're still functioning as a normal city.
On the eastern fringes of town, Daniel Babic was angry. He'd just coped with a recent tank barrage on Osijek's oil depot, which he runs. The main container here burnt for 3 days and nights after federal forces attacked from across no man's land 2 miles away. It's believed it was retaliation for Croatia closing a pipeline into Serbia.
Who fired the rocket?
Responsibly Yugoslav army and genetics and Serbo communists. Very not clever men.
Why did
stupid boys? Stupid. They don't love Croatian.
Beneath the town centre, Osijek's hospital now functions underground. Its basements become wards because artillery and aerial bombardments continue. These men were all Croatian militias injured in clashes.
I was hit by a sniper in Osijek. He was firing from across the river, from Baranja.
I was hit by shrapnel from a howitzer, here and here.
What are them? What was it? 600 artillery guns?
It's
What?
obvious enough why the beds are below ground. A doctor here said the damage was done as Croats fought to seize the local barracks. The hospital was in the way.
Because it is 100 meters and it was directly from there to here.
Now, when that happened, were there soldiers firing from the hospital to the barracks?
No.
On one side of the road, the wrecked barracks, and on the other, destroyed houses. It was clear that as Croats fought to seize the federal barracks, Osijek had witnessed a firefight of enormous proportions.
Wow. Look at all those bullet holes, man. It looks like a village in Vietnam, like the Battle of Way or something.
There were no guards here, so we went in and came upon a scene of complete destruction.
Salato lofts a beauty into the box. He settles it on the laces.
Yeah, I know, man. I gotta get an ad. I gotta get a ad blocker. I just haven't had time to do anything this week. I've been getting beat up by real life. It's been a grind.
Where it had stood as federal troops fled, surrendered, or died. Ammunition boxes strewn about in makeshift barricades. Caps left where they'd fallen during the assault. Even half-eaten rations by a foxhole. The armory had been ransacked by Croats after they'd taken control, though live mines and rockets still remained among the debris. In the offices, dust-covered maps and papers of the 12th Proletarian Division. Outside, the rumble of continued shelling, inside abandoned insignia. Equipment for maintaining the 12th Division's materiel lay abandoned much as they'd left it. Only the bodies and weapons had been taken away. As those who could flee in tanks did so, they left many other vehicles.
What, did they get
lacking
wiped
armor
out?
to the effects.
What happened to these guys? Was it like a whole unit that got wiped out?
Personnel carrier abandoned where it had stood as federal troops fled, surrendered, or died.
Oh, when
Ammunition
Croats,
strewn
when they
about in
pushed them
makeshift
out.
barricades. Caps left where they'd fallen during the assault.
I see.
Even half-eaten rations by a foxhole. The armory had been ransacked by Croats after they'd taken control, though live mines and rockets still remained among the debris.
They pushed the Yugoslavian
In the offices,
forces
dust-covered
out.
maps and papers of the 12th Proletarian Division. Outside, the rumble of continued shelling, inside abandoned insignia. Equipment for maintaining the 12th Division's materiel lay abandoned much as they'd left it. Only the bodies and weapons had been taken away. As those who could flee in tanks did so, they left many other vehicles lacking armor to the effects of incoming rocket-propelled grenades.
Dude, they hit every
Firing's
one
still
of them,
going
it
on,
looked
even
like.
though this barracks has been
Coulda
liberated.
used them,
Indeed,
probably.
It's been comprehensively destroyed.
Take
But
them like the
outside Osijek, we've
Taliban.
been told there are at least 2 barracks still occupied by federal forces surrounded by Croatian militia.
Okay,
Now, whilst
okay,
that's the
now
case,
this makes
it's clear
sense.
today in Osijek.
So these barracks, I guess you could call it like a forward operational base or something, like a FOB is what we might call it. They were overrun by Croatian forces, and these are probably the troops that convoy was talking about needing to rescue. That's that general's people that he was talking about getting.
That neither the Croatians nor the Serbian-dominated National Army have much interest in abiding by a ceasefire. The noise of gunfire rolled across the river east of Osijek, where the bridge is down, severing the town from the Baranja region, where fighting continued all morning, a mockery of the ceasefire elsewhere.
It's so fitting to have a phony ceasefire going on here while we have one right now going on in Iran. They've been calling that a ceasefire for like a month now, and there's fighting every day.
And on the road south from Osijek, one of the tanks that fled the barracks stopped in its tracks by a rocket. Small numbers of Croatians hold the northern part of this village,
Dude, I wonder
Kenya,
what do you think happened to the crew in that tank?
whilst federal forces maintain a garrison to the south. It's 1 mile down this road, but as we moved forward, snipers opened up, preventing further progress. Croatian militias here think the ceasefire's a joke. It's not happening, and they don't want it anyway. Emil told us he'd now learned to distinguish between the stench of animal and human corpses in these abandoned houses. And across the fields, another puny frontline defense and similar message about ceasefire.
We are in our country. It's Croatia. We are Croatian soldiers. We're fighting for freedom.
So you don't want ceasefire?
No.
Here from their trench, they could see at least 2 federal tanks. They thought there might be 20 more, so we told them, in fact, the figure's nearer 50.
Dude, they seem happy fighting, don't they? I think you might get a similar answer if you asked an Iranian right now, do you want peace? Do you want ceasefire with Americans? They might give you a similar answer. Like, no, come, bring it. Come on in. Try to take Karg Island.
Not that it'll make any difference.
We've
they
been
want
waiting
to fight
for
on here,
this.
and having taken Osijek's barracks, they believe they can win. Alex Thompson, ITN, Croatia.
Wow. They're emboldened.
In the Croatian capital Zagreb,
They're
the blockade of
emboldened
federal army
by
garrisons
these little
continues.
successes.
Roadblocks surround the Marshal Tito barracks just outside the city, though it's clear any new ceasefire deal requires that the blockade ends at midnight tonight. A similar stalemate exists at the nearby Borongaj barracks.
I don't have
say-
any idea what kind of numbers would be, if it is mathematically possible for them to think we could possibly win this fight. I'm not sure.
They won't lift the blockade
But
till the federal army
maybe they
ends
did
its
have a chance to
bombardments.
win.
The federal army says they won't pull back till the barracks are no longer surrounded. Around Zagreb, the effects of last night's airstrikes are obvious enough. Fuel tanks still burn at this factory, and the Republic's presidential palace is extensively damaged. The federal military has denied ordering the attack, even suggesting Croatian forces are to blame.
Oh, false flag.
The Federal Air Force didn't bomb the Croatian presidential palace. This is a lie. This is another piece of disinformation to put the Federal Army down in world opinion.
To the southwest of Zagreb, a similar standoff continues at Karlovac, surrounded by 3 large federal barracks. Karlovac has become the key battleground in the struggle between Croatian and federal forces. Even makeshift ambulances have become casualties of war. One of Serbia's few independent journalists now says there'll be no lifting of the blockade, which will lead to intensified warfare.
Right now, they are lost in space, and they are liable to any form of panic. Well, I would.
Wait. Look at that. Look at that picture in the background. That lady. What's going on back here?
In the final analysis, the excessive use of firepower against civilians, undefended cities.
Other cultures have used that as a salute, but it usually is fascism, isn't it? I know the Italians use that as a salute.
Etc., is a form of panic.
Even if Croatia's political leaders do agree to end the surrounding of the federal barracks, it's still
And
not...
the Croatians had units that worked with the Nazis. Oh, you thought she was waving? I thought she was doing the whole thing.
clear whether that's actually going to happen on the ground. And that doubt stands between
Wait, the
skirmishing...
Croatians? Yeah, they did. They talked about it earlier. The Croatians had... Oh, you meant the Italians. No, the Italians, what about when, like, the black shirts, Mussolini, didn't they do the salute? I'm pretty sure that Mussolini had him doing the fascist salute too. I'll have to look into
and
it.
full-scale civil war.
But I
Alex
think
Thompson,
the black
ITN,
shirts had a
Belgrade.
salute too.
Few
Not
soldiers in
now,
Vukovar
but
thought
I'm
the
talking about like Mussolini back in those days. I think they did, bro.
latest peace deadline would make much
Not
difference to
now.
their war. At 11 o'clock this morning, 11 hours after the deadline passed, the rumble of cannon fire, artillery
Yeah.
and machine guns opened up again over this strategic Croatian
I'm
town.
gonna have to look, but I'm pretty sure Mussolini threw it around also.
But I thought there's supposed to be a ceasefire. What's happening?
They shrugged. Many here told us outright they wanted the Federal Army to
And
take...
the Croatians did, yeah. The Croatians did kind of, yeah, not now. I know the Italians wouldn't be doing that now.
more Croatian territory. Some soldiers, still plainly recovering from injuries, were back at the front line this morning. We watched as reinforcements arrived along the only road into Vukovar that
The Croatians kind of bent the knee to the Nazis, didn't they? They were one of the countries that did work with them.
Federal forces control.
They weren't the only one.
Because of sniper fire in the area where we were sheltering, we could get no further down this road.
The Nazis took Croatia without a shot fired. They welcomed the invasion.
But the smoke up ahead betrayed the fact
They
that there are
just were
still a
rolled
few
into
things
the
left
right.
to burn and destroy in the ruins of Vukovar. We came here this morning to try and observe a ceasefire in Vukovar, which the Yugoslav army has been fighting over for 2.5 months with the Croatian forces in the town. Instead of finding a ceasefire, we find ourselves in the middle of yet another artillery battle.
Ghost your ROI worries.
Thought they were coming there to check on the status of the ceasefire. Let's see how much longer we got on this. About an hour. I'll fast forward to it if it slows down.
Vukovar, but this siren warned of incoming sniper and mortar fire. Soldiers here took shelter in what's their officers' mess, their command center, and a bunker, all in one. Their leader said the Croats had offered a 100,000 Deutschmark bounty on his head.
The people have to decide whether they want the Yugoslav army or not. We shall only go when the people want us to go.
That's fair. That's fair.
Outside, it was clear from the sniper fire and artillery bombardments that the federal soldiers control little of Vukovar beyond the barracks itself. As these soldiers pointed out the damage Croatian militias had inflicted to their barracks, they said the reason they couldn't gain control of Vukovar was because the Croatians moved around in a network of tunnels and catacombs.
Wow.
Except for a tank, the only way further into Vukovar for these soldiers was in this, an armoured personnel carrier. This medical team had a report that one of their number had been severely wounded in the town. They got the wrong location and for some moments were trapped again by sniper fire.
This is still not the end of the war. We've not carried out all our tasks. The mission is to win Vukovar.
They look kind of goofy with those helmets.
But for the Croats, the ruins of Vukovar are now a symbol of their militia's ability to keep the might of the Yugoslav army at bay for months.
Vukovar is
Where
2 months old.
Where I get confused is where you got these little regions inside Yugoslavia, like Croatia, and at what point, you know, that's where they Yugoslavia and Croatian, and it gets
Already
confusing
sort of
for me,
Gallipoli
for my brain.
for Serbian reserves.
And I think a lot of that, because they were part of Yugoslavia was created at the fall of the Soviet Union, right? That's when they became their own region, I believe. But I don't know.
It is very interesting that the General Staff and Ministry of Defense don't release, and never did, in past 2 months, the totals.
No, that ain't right. Yugoslavia was there during World War II, so. Well, yeah, Russia would have taken it at the end, probably taken control after World War II. Yeah.
Of army and Serbia regular casualties around Vukovar.
Oh, it was just
Our reporters
Yugoslavia? Okay.
on the spot are talking about hundreds and hundreds.
If the EC really believes peace is at hand, then something ominous is happening tonight at Vukovar. As we left, at least 30 coaches full of soldiers were driving to the front. There was talk on all sides of a major battle coming up. These men were about to dig new emplacements for field artillery. All day, convoys of tanks, trucks and jeeps were heading into Vukovar. And above the maze, the barrels of field guns were poised to lob shells at the town where neither side appears to want a ceasefire.
Wow.
Alex Thompson, ITN, Vukovar, Eastern Croatia. This afternoon, the Deputy Federal Defense Minister, Admiral Stane Brovit, gave Channel 4 News his first television interview during the war. He said the presence of EC monitors is vital.
The monitors have not been used in the role in which they will be used at present to control the deblocking of the garrisons and the regrouping, or rather withdrawal, of our units and equipment from the garrisons.
Do you believe the country and the army has actually been let down by the politicians?
Well, of course, the politicians are the most responsible.
The most irresponsible?
That's a good answer.
Irresponsible and responsible for the results of what they have done or undone.
They've failed, haven't they, in terms of preserving the peace over these past months?
They did.
That must be a source of bitter regret to you.
Yes. It is very regretful that at the end of the 20th century, an European country is faced with such conditions.
Everything got shook up after World War II, so I know it kind of is all one story from World War I on, but
country.
If one of the country's most experienced military figures believes that the politicians have let people down badly over this war, what does wider public opinion make of it?
My recruiter served in Bosnia, and he told me a couple stories back when we used to do PT and stuff together, like when I was in high school. And I always wanted to know more about that conflict because it was one that came through the news cycle really fast, and we were there as peacekeepers. He told me some really, really sad stories, and I didn't really have any, you know, like a background to put it on.
At Belgrade's medical school, opinion is divided. An educated professional section of
It's just not a
Serbian
conflict that really gets any attention. All these European conflicts, really. Rotary lives in Europe, and I asked him about the one in Bosnia, and yeah, he didn't even know that we got involved. It was I think they called it the Kosovo War, or the Kosovo. It was the war that Behind Enemy Lines is based on.
Its opinions mirror a people troubled by war, but not
With
to the point
Owen
of protesting
Wilson.
openly against it. Professor
Such a good movie.
Vasilievich is one of a group of people opposed to the government,
It's
but
a
not
civil
fighting.
war, I believe.
I think that the only solution for the Serbian population in Croatia is, again, to win this very dirty and very bloody war, and then to establish a completely new...
Yeah, he was with the UN, I believe. He was there on a peacekeeper mission.
settlement. But again, definitely...
Similar to what we had going on in... No, it was Bosnia. It was, they called it the Kosovo War. It was like Serbia, the Serbians were being genocided. That's what he told me stories about, was finding large amounts of Serbs that were killed. It was the Serbs and the Bosnians, I believe.
As a conqueror, as a winner. Because if we lose...
Yeah, that's
we
Bosnia.
lost. Not only of the political...
That's the conflict that my recruiter served in.
Power. Not only of of territories, not only of, but I think now it's the most of the young generation.
That's the one where were they Muslim Serbs were being targeted?
Aware it's that this is a question of the existence of the nation.
But out on the campus, doubts about the war. And
we're gonna do a whole episode. Don't worry. There's a 4-part ITN series on it, so we'll watch it. We'll go over it on. We'll do an episode on it.
All our generation, I mean here in Serbia, in Belgrade, that we are not for the war, but if we are thrown in that war, we have to survive.
Ceasefire, it's a joke, man.
I feel very sorry about my friends who have to fight there, and I don't know. I really don't know how the situation can be solved.
But for now, most in Belgrade have little experience of the vicious war still going on just 80 miles away, and precious little faith that their politicians can bring it.
That's one thing that's interesting about all these little conflicts is it's a small area. So 80 miles, that's the next city over, right? Like, that's why everything's kind of a pressure cooker, I've noticed.
BDN.
Your neighbor's problems, when everyone's that close together, your neighbor's problems can quickly become your problems. And I think that seems to happen with these little conflicts. It's a theme.
EC-led convoy heading for the besieged town of Vukovar has come under mortar fire. The convoy carrying emergency food and medical aid to the town, which has been cut off for 50 days, was later forced to turn back after the Federal Army claimed to have found a grenade in one of the trucks. ITN's Paul Davis was travelling with the convoy.
The convoy, laden with desperately needed medical supplies and food, had already been delayed because of fresh fighting.
That's Red Cross. They were targeting the Red
Cross around the besieged town of Vukovar. Today began with another setback for the Mercy mission. Their police escort and vehicles carrying members of the EEC observers.
Yeah, man, it's interesting. And it's like they said earlier, it's basically neighbors killing neighbors, white people. I mean, it's not, you don't have that tribalism element into it. It's just greed, I guess. I don't know where the hatred comes from.
Observer team involved in a multiple collision. Despite icy roads and fog, they'd been travelling at high speed because of the risk of sniper fire. Another hour had been lost before the convoy was able to move on towards the town that last received food and medicine 48 days ago. As we passed through villages on the road to Vukovar, there were shouts of encouragement and warnings.
There's the lady.
You're all going to die, this woman sobbed. Don't go to Vukovar, it's a trap. Entering
That's the clip I saw earlier that made me want to watch this. It was at the beginning. That lady telling him not to go to Vukovar. That's
involved in a multiple collision. Despite icy roads and fog, they'd been travelling at high speed because of the risk of sniper fire.
I would listen to
her,
before
man. The convoy was able to move
that lady probably
towards
knows
the town
something.
that last received food and medicine 48 days ago. As we passed through villages on the road to Vukovar, there were shouts of encouragement and warnings. You're all going to die, this woman sobbed. Don't go to Vukovar, it's a trap. Entering Vinkovci, the last town before Vukovar, it became easier to understand her fears. The Croatian National Guard still hold the town, but...
Yeah, that's what I kind of recall, is there was a population of Muslims there that seemed to be Arab, and they were trying to, there was talk of ethnic cleansing going on back in those days.
But they've taken...
I think it was around 94, maybe?
A battering. Beyond here, the land, though Croatia, is controlled by the Serbian-dominated Federal Army. It was just as the observers were waiting for instructions to cross the no-man's land that they came under more...
So that phrase, Serbian-dominated Federal Army. The Federal Army of Yugoslavia is made up of the different regions, and in that area it's dominated by Serbs. So if they have specific issues with the Croats, there's going to be more tension.
Mortar fire. The attack was brief and sent observers, guardsmen and Western journalists who'd accompanied the convoy scrambling for cover, but no one was seriously hurt.
With the situation like this, I mean, you know, we can't risk any more lives. I mean, you know, what's the point, really?
The observers contacted army commanders, demanding an explanation and further guarantees.
If this convoy doesn't get through, there is no sense for the EC monitoring mission to stay in this country.
An hour later, the observers decided
They're done, man. That's bad when the observers go home.
to risk the remaining 10 miles into Vukovar, only now they'd be travelling on alone. The army had warned that any Croatian or journalist accompanying them would be shot on sight. The observers treating the mission now as a test of their own credibility.
If the convoy can't get through or comes under fire again, the EEC monitors say they might as well pack up and go home.
This evening, the convoy returned, having failed to reach Vukovar.
Wow.
The army turned them back after it was claimed a hand
It
grenade
told them that if there were any Croatians or journalists, they were going to be shot on sight.
had been found in an ambulance. Paul Davis, News at 10 in eastern Croatia.
A convoy carrying emergency food and medical supplies has reached the edge of the besieged Croatian town of Vukovar after 3 days of setbacks caused by fierce fighting. Tonight it's reported to be trapped by an outbreak of shelling around Vukovar. ITN's Paul Davis was with the convoy as it set out from Vinkovci.
An air raid warning was not the most auspicious start to the day as the Mercy convoy prepared for a third time to reach the besieged town of Vukovar. The EEC observers called their drivers together to brief them on the dangers they faced.
The main thing is we want to weed out the drivers that don't have the nerves to go through.
Only badasses allowed from this point forward. If you ain't ready, don't even try it.
Don't want anybody to abandon the vehicles in the middle of the road.
The ambulances and trucks were laden with medicine, blankets and emergency supplies. The medical teams and
He basically said they couldn't afford any cowards to bail out and leave the supplies behind. So if you're not ready to die for these supplies, then don't even, just step
drivers,
aside.
all volunteers, determined to reach the devastated town despite the risk to their own lives.
It's ballsy, man. I mean, those guys are heroes. Those Red Cross workers. Talk about humanitarians.
Because we have 15,000 people there, and 2,000 of them are children.
The Croatian National Guard was still saying it was too hazardous to attempt the journey. One of the observers was taken up the Vukovar road to see for himself. The Croatian military had launched an attack to secure territory on either side of the road, but was still coming under heavy fire from the Federal Army.
God.
These troops had been involved in 24 hours of fighting. They were weary and not optimistic. They admitted they were taking losses and were having difficulty holding their positions. As long as this bombardment continues, the Croatian National Guardsmen are telling the EEC team it's simply not safe for their convoy to continue. One of the observers appealed to the Croatian side to hold fire in the hope that the Federal Army would also honour the ceasefire. But gunfire continued as the senior observer contacted the convoy. Despite all advice, they were determined to press on.
Man.
Travelling through the battered town of Vinkovci to the new front line. A tiny Croatian village called Nuštar, which has been all but destroyed by the latest fighting.
Good luck.
There were shouts of encouragement from the Croatian National Guardsmen, but as they continued into the no man's land, the humanitarian mission travelled on alone. They could only hope that the Federal Army would keep its promise and respect the Red Cross flag under which they were travelling. Paul Davis, ITN, Nuštar, Eastern Croatia.
For quality you'll love at prices
I wonder why
you'll love even more.
I wonder why the federal forces are firing on the Red Cross like that. It's interesting. Like, I don't really understand that. Why they're targeting Red Cross, or they just don't give a fuck.
The group of armored cars left Negoslavski once more in an attempt to meet.
They're not going to halt their barrage for aid to come through, but it's rare that only assholes fire on medics and Red Cross. Like, really? Like ISIS, maybe? The Russian forces have been known to do it, but they don't even seem... I've never seen proof of it. There was a little talk of it in the war, but...
Meet the EC relief trucks. No more federal troops will be freed from the blockaded barracks in Zagreb, unless the relief
That's a
convoy
war
gets through to...
crime. I mean, yeah, it's a war. Yeah, exactly. It's a war crime.
Vukovar from here. As we waited, rumors spread of fighting in the immediate area. These soldiers said the Croats were trying to provoke the Federal Army into firing. And shortly after these pictures were taken, 5 grenades were fired by Croats into the area. We were taken up to the last village held by Federal forces. A Federal Army interpreter was waiting to meet the convoy when the fighting erupted.
We came here, and this was quite dangerous this morning. It's better for you that you came later, because we were witnesses of the fire from the other side, both from tanks, their tanks, which used to be ours, and 2 of them.
Their tanks that used to be ours. God, that's got to be frustrating, man. Get fired on by your own stuff.
Have seen, and now we are waiting. Our idea is to stop the firing from both sides and to let the convoy go. That's our wish.
So they did take equipment
By late
when
Sunday
they pushed
afternoon,
them out.
most of the shelling had died away. Federal Army officers who would be searching the convoy said it was now only a few miles off. Finally, with barely 1 hour's light left, the convoy appeared. In charge of it, Michel Robert, a French EC observer. Federal officers here wanted the medical supplies at the front of the convoy to split off and the food to follow on later. But after 5 days, Michel Robert's firmly in charge. No, he said, we go into Vukovar as one convoy or we don't go at all. One of his team explained the situation.
They wanted to separate the food and medicine, and he said, no, we're all staying together. We're not splitting our convoy. That French leader, man, what a badass.
They searched our convoy, and there was no arms whatsoever. There was some discussion about some petrol, which could be used for military use also, so we left that behind. And it was a very friendly, thorough search, and there were no problems.
After some time, the Federal Army agreed, after liaison with Defense Ministry officials, and with that, the EC convoy finally entered the outskirts of bombed-out Vukovar. We were the only reporting team able to witness its passage towards the Federal Army barracks, and from there into a rapidly assembled dormitory guarded by Federal soldiers, with orders to shoot on sight anyone outside after dark. All night, intermittent shelling and machine gun fire continued. This morning, yet more talks between Commander Lukic, who runs the Federal Army barracks in Vukovar, and Robert Michel, in charge of the EC observers. The sticking point was still which parts of the convoy would go where, but also which roads they would use between the Federal Army barracks, then the no man's land, half of which is controlled by Serbian irregulars and half by the Croatians. Meanwhile, in the courtyard of the disused barracks, the convoy, almost exclusively consisting of cars and coaches from Osijek, stood waiting to go. Then, on orders from Belgrade, the JNA, the Federal Army, began a systematic search of every vehicle. Each box, every bag of clothing, each medical consignment, it all had to come off. Even individual tins of food were open.
What the fuck? They opened the cans? Oh no, God. Once you open a can, it's the
Said Michel Robert, a forced search.
Now they're just being dicks.
Because according to the agreement signed yesterday or the day before, only one check of this convoy had to be made. This checking has been made yesterday afternoon by the GNA when we reached their front line. And now this unit have received an order from Belgrade, from a high-ranking general, to make a second checking.
Shortly after 10 o'clock, the EC convoy left the barracks.
Yeah.
But instead of going into Vukovar,
yeah, you're probably right.
It went out across country again. The
Couldn't imagine opening dude, that would be so shitty. They get all that food and they're all excited and it's all dried beans, completely dried hard.
Croatian forces said they wouldn't let it further into Vukovar because that would mean removing their mines and booby traps and thus taking away their defences. They said the federal forces were using the EC convoy as a human shield.
And so another village and another set of protracted negotiations. As somebody said here this morning, this is what happens when humanitarianism comes up against the military on one side and politics on the other. So far, progress has been painfully slow.
This is one of the main barriers to the convoy in Croatian eyes. These 120mm field guns have pounded Vukovar for 2 months now. Ceasefires have come, ceasefires gone, but almost every day these federal soldiers have selected shells from the ammunition boxes. They've pulled out a new detonator for each one, and in the time-honoured ritual of long-range slaughter, they have primed their weapons.
Yeah, there's a key that you...
For weeks, they have responded to the coordinates shouted from their commanding officer a few yards behind.
Set the fuses on some of them. You can set the fuses, they're timed.
Without seeing the destruction 3 miles away, they have waited the repeated order to fire.
I did artillery in the army. I was on a self-propelled howitzer, though. But it's the same thing. It's just you're inside, like a closed-in little paladin howitzer. Anyone can do it. It's like the idiot job in the military.
Most of the soldiers here know that only politicians can soothe Croatia's agony in any lasting way, though many still do believe in Yugoslavia and in one federal army.
We are trying to save Yugoslavia. The army is made.
Yeah, it depends on. It depends on if you're, cause like they split us into 88s and 155s. So those are 155.
To save
the
Yugoslavia
towed
from
ones
inside,
are 88 millimeter, and then those are 155 rounds.
This time it's inside enemy.
They could be different now, though.
An armored vehicle.
It's been a long time. I mean, it was like 2004 when I went in.
A warning to the people of
They're still using the self-propelled paladins, though.
Continues.
I'm pretty sure.
This is the nearest village to Vukovar.
Dude, it was weird because the Russians had a more advanced one than we did. The Russians had one that was like self-loading.
It has become a garrison for the federal
like
army.
It would
it's from around
chamber
this
them
village
and
that
everything.
Day and night the artillery pounds Vukovar.
But you had to like manually
saying the roar of the guns is the sound of
cram
liberation.
the round in and everything. There was a whole like system, and you do all these checks, and then you take. It's super easy. Anyone could be taught how to do it in an hour. But the rounds are heavy.
Every day we were there.
I would have rather been on the 88s, the towed howitzers. I wish I would have got on one of those, because those guys seem to. They just, I don't know, their job just seemed cooler. Most of ours was maintaining the paladins.
Grenades landed in Negoslavci, proof that whoever fired first, the Federal Army won.
They're still cool though, man. You move around hundreds of those rounds and
was being attacked.
They start to
house,
sound
a mother,
awesome.
daughter, and her boyfriend were having lunch when a grenade smashed into the home.
I wish I would have been on a towed 88.
Peppered the wall. And this is a dirty war. This ambulance was.
We were training I was in Texas, and the bore blew out. I don't know what happened, but I wasn't in the Paladin at the time. I was outside it, and it backblasted and blew the blower. And it could have like killed my chief and a guy in my squad. It was really scary. And when they repaired it, we fired it with a 50-foot lanyard. Like, we got behind a thing and we had a lanyard that stretched all the way out. But I was always scared to fire it after that, because it blew open the back bore and shot, fire and everything out. The guys came out of it and they were covered in soot and stuff. It was scary. It was a training accident.
trying to retrieve casualties
And
in street-to-street
I guess what
fighting.
they ended up finding out happened was it was an issue at the maintenance bay. When we always had problems with our gun, and when they took it to the maintenance bay, there was a new private mechanic that did something goofy, and that's what caused it.
Fighting. Alex
During
Thompson,
a repair.
ITN, Vukovar,
He
Eastern
botched
Croatia.
a repair. We're lucky nobody got hurt. It was really scary.
A group of British volunteer soldiers has moved up to the front line in Yugoslavia's civil war. They've enlisted with the forces of the Republic in Croatia, fighting Serbian and Federal Army troops between Vinkovci and Vukovar. There's been close hand-to-hand fighting southwest of Zagreb,
Hand-to-hand
near the
fighting,
town
bro.
of Karlovac. Paul
Close hand-to-hand fighting.
Davis is in Croatia.
It could be the bandit country of South Armagh, a British soldier on patrol constantly alert for sniper attack.
British?
In fact, this is the front line of Yugoslavia's internal conflict, with the British soldiers on the breakaway Republican side. Danny Kingston from Cheltenham,
Wow.
one of a small
They had British guys coming in there to volunteer? That's awesome.
group of foreign volunteers who've enlisted to fight with the Croatian army.
This isn't just one of those other Balkan wars. This isn't just one of those Slav quarrels. This is a nation's struggle for independence. I mean, this is history being made here.
Crusader.
The volunteers,
What we got here is a crusader.
to include 3 Britons, an Austrian, a Finn
That's
and a
awesome.
Frenchman, have been billeted in the gymnasium of an abandoned school in the embattled town of Vinkovci. They are all former professional soldiers and insist they are not mercenaries but are fighting for a cause.
It's like the
They're patrolling
Ukrainians.
the streets of Vinkovci.
It reminds me of the guys, though. I mean, it's not really. I mean, because the Ukrainians were under the threat of full invasion. They weren't trying to bust out. So, but it reminds me of foreigners going and fighting with Ukraine just because they think it's the right thing to do. They feel compelled to. It's not about the money or anything. That's why you can't really consider them mercenaries, because mercenaries tend to do it for financial gain.
The volunteers had their first experience of conflict, coming under sniper attack. A former British Army paratrooper who wanted to be known only as Will said more foreign recruits are needed.
Yeah.
We hope there'll be some more people out here, as in professional soldiers.
If people are going to come out here then and help the Croatians, then it should only be professional soldiers.
Just like in Ukraine. I guess a lot of dummies going over there cause problems.
They don't have the organisation to train people from scratch. They've got enough problems training their own people from scratch.
I considered serving in Ukraine at one time, but never as a combatant. I looked into possibly volunteering and doing a body recovery and stuff like that. There's a lot of bodies being lost on both sides, and I think it's really sad. Even the Russians. There's a lot of people being vanishing forever into those trenches, and there's agencies that are trying to recover these bodies and get them home, and I felt like that might be something I'd be interested in doing. But
While the British volunteers were moved up to Croatia's eastern front,
I'd
there
have
was
to
more
get
fierce
healthy
fighting in the
first.
south. Just outside the garrison town of Karlovac, members of the Croatian
Yeah.
National Guard involved in street battles with soldiers of the...
Yeah, man, a lot of those Russian guys are being forced into, I mean, I'm starting to realize a lot of them are conscripts, bro. Like, what about those guys?
Serbian-led federal army. The leaders of Serbia and Croatia may be talking ceasefire with President Gorbachev in Moscow, but tonight there are reports of fierce fighting around at least 3 major towns in this breakaway republic. Paul Davis News at 10.
And also, that's not their mob's fault. Like, I feel like the mobs deserve to bury their sons. Every mom deserves to bury her son.
Croatia.
Another ceasefire, the 10th, has been agreed by all sides in Yugoslavia's civil war at a European Community Peace Conference in The Hague. The Dutch...
The Russians are doing some really tricky shit to get people signed up. They're doing it to foreigners. They're like Africans are even getting signed into. They're into the front, and they're using financial stress, the the legal situations to coerce people in. Yeah, they're promising them that they're gonna serve on different units, that they won't serve on the front. So there is a room for Russian soldiers to become victims. It is a thing, in my opinion.
Foreign Minister Mr. Hans van den Broek said the fighting had to
I've
stop
watched
immediately
enough
to
on
allow
it, but
political progress to be made. Lord
I've
Carrington
seen
called it a cautionary step forward. On the ground in Croatia, the ceasefire seemed mainly to have been ignored. In the eastern Croatia,
I'm absolutely pro-Ukrainian. I mean, I would defend Ukrainians' right to independence all the way. Who I'm against is the Russian oligarchs, the generals, the leadership. I think these soldiers are pawns, and that has to be
town of Osijek, there's
remembered.
been no break in the fighting for 24 hours.
Early this morning, the old Croatian town of Osijek ablaze, the result of the previous day's bombing attacks. The new day offers no respite for Osijek's war-weary citizens. Yet another air raid alarm. People who'd only just ventured out of their homes after the nighttime attack take refuge in the shelter under the town's main square. This has become a daily feature of life here, waiting for hours, listening to the bombardment above, wondering what will be left of Osijek by the time it's safe to venture outside again. For 2 days now, Osijek has come under air attack. Croatia does not have an effective air force of its own, so the Serbian-led Federal Air Force has the freedom of the skies.
I wonder if they even have any way to knock those things down at all. I mean, I'm sure they have surface-to-air missiles, but
48 hours, the town has taken a pounding.
Ding! That's the
you know,
sound of a Tuesday
because
night.
it's when an air force can just have free roam, there's no danger. It's a bad thing. That's what you see with like Palestine, Gaza.
When this latest attack occurred, 3 people died and 53 were injured yesterday.
The patients were our first priority. We didn't care about our own safety. It was only after 5 days, when we sat down, that we realized we'd been in danger.
They may be talking peace in The Hague today, in these wards with so many injuries inflicted after 8 or 9 so-called ceasefires. They ran out of such optimism a long time ago. Paul Davis News at 10, Osijek General Hospital.
I mean, I'm sure they have.
The
What,
jeeps
like,
of Federal Army commanders of the Vukovar
Stinger
area left
missiles,
their base
maybe?
just after 7 this morning, moving along
But
tracks.
they're a small force. I mean, the Croatians, so that stuff, to get a hold of anything useful against those jets, it would probably have to come from an outside source.
The only supply lines open across the minefields. They took up position facing the checkpoint that marks the end of the Federal Army's control zone and waited. At 8 a.m., the convoy arrived carrying
World War II flak guns, yeah, Stinger missiles would be good. But I don't know, I mean, what did they use to shoot him down in behind enemy lines? It was a multiple rocket launch system, wasn't it? Like a surface-to-air missile
medical staff from the French aid agency Médecins Sans Frontières, a 16-vehicle group with 7 trucks to evacuate the wounded, believed to be more than 200. I'm in a great hurry,
MLRS or
gentlemen, the
whatever.
EC observer in control told the Federal Army. 1 mile out from Vukovar, a Federal tank group intended to meet and escort the convoy. Its soldiers dismantled their barricades in preparation. But it never arrived. Instead, the convoy had taken a different route to the north. Furious, Federal commanders sent in their tanks to block that track to confront the convoy when it came out of Vukovar.
What the fuck?
Across the fields, the smoke of an artillery strike on the town proved that the ceasefire did not hold up today. Médecins Sans Frontières said they'd been trapped by shelling in the town. They were trapped again when they came out by Federal Army tanks who insisted they travel by their route. So the convoy bounced over the fields. It could only have increased the pain of the 109 injured civilians on board these trucks. Michel Robert's patience was running thin.
And my own purpose today is to lead
a relief convoy with wounded people. That's all. And to withdraw from this town as much as possible wounded people.
And inside the trucks, in great pain, they waited. Finally, the convoy rolled out past the federal lines, apparently on its way smoothly. And then this.
Oh no. Oh
An
shit.
explosion near to the front of the convoy.
Oh.
A truck full of injured people had hit a mine between the federal and Croatian lines. The driver and 2 members of the aid team were blown clear of the cab. Doctors attended to them where they'd fallen. Next to the truck, another mine lay, hampering rescuers.
Both sides call this a dirty war, and what more compelling image of that could there be than 3 people in a humanitarian convoy blown up by a mine on their way out of Vukovar.
A relief convoy carrying hundreds of wounded people from the besieged Croatian town of Vukovar has finally got through to safety. It was delayed yesterday after a truck hit a landmine. Tonight, heavy fighting was reported around Vukovar and other parts of Croatia.
The wounded from Vukovar, who survived the siege of the Croatian town and the mined road out of it, were transferred today to specialist hospitals.
Could you
where their
imagine
injuries
after that truck hit that mine how scared the rest of that trip would be?
can be treated. Another 100 wounded have been left behind in Vukovar. EEC observers say it's too risky to carry out a repeat of the Mercy mission.
It will be a long time, if ever, we will take part in another convoy. There's a lot of negotiation and discussion to be done, because obviously this has been much too dangerous.
The EEC observers can hardly have been pleased to discover that when Federal Army troops evacuated their barracks in Zagreb yesterday, they left behind many nasty surprises. Mines and other booby traps intended for the Croatians, who are the barracks' new occupants. Dozens of artillery pieces were abandoned by the Serbian-led troops as they withdrew, but these too have been mined and sabotaged.
Oh,
no matter how great the risk, the Croatian soldiers will have to work their way past the booby traps, as the guns left behind here are desperately needed to be used against their former owners.
They booby-trapped all the equipment.
Croatian National Guards on the last stage of a counter-offensive to reopen the road to a besieged town.
Man, they're pushing them out, ain't they?
After 2 days of fierce fighting, they believe their enemy has withdrawn. But there is only one way to know for sure: the nerve-wracking process of checking every small village and farm. The guards say this is worse than the shooting, knowing that every cautious step...
Look at that, what has he got there? Man, he's got a drum magazine. I don't think that's a Kalashnikov, is it? It almost looks like a Thompson or something. What's that other guy got? Yeah, those are different. Maybe a M14? That other guy looks... Those almost look World War II era.
...them into a sniper's sights. The Croatian forces have recaptured this
Those are
village,
some
but
badass
they believe the
rifles.
Serbian-led troops have fled just a few hundred yards into the woods that surround this area.
It might have been a Kalashnikov just with a drum magazine, but it didn't look like one. It looked different. It looked smaller. And the other one looked like a M14. I've seen some weird-ass rifles out on the battlefield of Ukraine. The Russians have some weird ones. They put them in the rear positions because
They
they're
moved
running
down
out.
the newly captured road into Pakrats. The town has been under siege by federal forces for more than 2 months and shows the scars.
They're still using a sniper rifle. What's that? I forget. It's one of the more popular sniper rifles. It's the Russian one they use in that movie, Enemy at the Gates.
At first
They
sight,
still
it
use
appears
that,
to be a
'cause
ghost
it's the
town.
same model.
No one on the streets, almost every building wrecked. We discovered the Croatian garrison taking cover among the devastation.
No, I don't think it's that one. It's I'll look it up later on Grok.
An officer showed us his battered headquarters.
This is police station.
I watched this YouTube channel, Olog Reacts. Olaf. It's this Ukrainian guy, and he breaks down different Ukrainian combat videos, and there was one that was all about the weird guns he's seen people carrying, and one of the Russian guys in the rear was carrying one. It's a bolt action rifle. Like they give them to him in the rear. Yeah, that's what it was. Mosin. Yeah. Yeah, he had one still.
The bullet-ridden building, proof that the Croatians' hold on the town is a tenuous one, and we were to discover why. A sniper's bullet aimed from a building a few hundred yards away.
This house.
They were talking about how reliable it is. Oh shit. Are you gonna send it to me?
Every few minutes, the Croatian soldiers came under...
I did Ozzy Cobb earlier already. Did you see him calling that girl ugly? Keemstar was badgering that, what's her name? That was, dude, that made me feel bad. She was giving it back to him, though.
Sniper fire. Tonight, they fear the Federal Army will launch a...
Hey, they're issuing them out to their troops in Russia still. They said in that video I watched that it's always in the rear. They're like running out of quality Kalashnikovs to give out, so they're giving these guys like old World War II rifles and machine guns, and every once in a while you'll see one of them at a rear guard position carrying like an old World War II machine gun or something. The belt feds too. They're using World War II era belt feds. They brought out some of their tanks even.
Sever the vital road link into the town.
Old
Paul Davis
shit.
News at 10, Pakrac, Croatia.
Yeah.
Good evening. Yugoslavia's Federal Army and the breakaway Republic of Croatia agreed to a new ceasefire tonight, but they're still fighting in several areas across the country. The agreement to end it, the 13th ceasefire, is due to take effect at 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. Today, the fighting in Croatia was especially fierce in the key town of Vukovar.
Okay, so Vukovar's right on the border of Serbia and Croatia. That's why it's a hot spot.
Which has been under siege now for 85 days. It was there earlier today that ITN's reporter David Chater was shot in the back and seriously injured. He and his camera team had been with federal troops taking part in the battle.
Yeah, they're using that shit, old ass guns.
For Vukovar. ITN's producer in Belgrade, Andrew Tilley, sent us this report.
They've been
a lot of that technology hasn't really changed too much.
For 3 months. It's a terrifying place.
With the big belt-fed machine guns, I mean, they're all pretty much the same. The MG42 was the German one, and that destroyed everybody. And
he's constantly in the sights of the sniper, the lone gunman.
Then we had like the BAR
waiting for his prey. They say this graveyard was the front
then we
line today.
transition into the 50 cals that we have. Trying to think what the Russians were using.
And the Serbian troops respond with a barrage. Hundreds of rounds in the general direction of where the shot was fired. And across the front line, a rifle grenade.
Oh, dude, he has a rifle grenade.
It's a frightening, exhausting daily grind, and it shows on the faces of the mainly conscript army, soldiers who were told the town would fall in days, who've been here for months. Terrifying too for the residents of the town. They've been in cellars for months, feeding on each other's fears of what the enemy will do to them. More die every day, but neither side will reveal the casualty figures. David Chater and his crew moved into an area taken by the federal troops only hours earlier. They were filming a Serbian gunman when they came under fire.
Look at that guy. Look at that guy in the Mr. Rogers sweater. What? I'm going to rewind that a little bit. What's it? That guy in the Mr. Rogers sweater grabbed my attention.
Mainly conscript army, soldiers who were told the town.
Oh, what's up? We got a few people watching. Hey, if you guys don't subscribe, please go subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna be doing other videos like this, so if you're into this crap.
Who've been here for months. Terrifying too
Alright.
for the residents of the town.
We'll
They've
watch
been in
it at the
cellars for
end.
months, feeding on each other's fears of what the enemy will do to them. More die every day, but neither side will reveal the casualty figures. David Chater and his crew moved into an area taken by the federal troops only hours earlier. They were filming a Serbian gunman when they came under fire. The team moved into a church where the sniper fired again, hitting David in the back.
Damn.
He was fully conscious and talked to the soldiers who came to his aid.
Oh, man.
Then, coming under more sniper fire, the rescuers ran for safety.
That was one of the journalists, wasn't it?
Into the ambulance and on to the military hospital in Belgrade.
Oh, man.
Andrew Tilley, News at 10, Yugoslavia.
Tonight, David Chater is in intensive care in the military hospital in Belgrade. He's undergone a 5-hour operation, and doctors say his condition is serious but not critical. David, who's 38 and married, has worked for ITN for 13 years. The camera crew who were with him, John Martin and John Boyce, were both unhurt. They are now also in Belgrade.
This is the second day of the 13th ceasefire. It is also the 92nd day of the siege and bombardment of Vukovar. It's been said before, it's worth repeating, but nothing like it has been seen in Europe since 1945. Nothing and no one has escaped its devastation. Every day, soldiers have told us that Vukovar is about to fall. They have been saying it for a fortnight, but maybe now it's true. Perhaps tomorrow, perhaps Tuesday. The Serbian irregulars and federal troops have now surrounded the last remaining Croat fighters, cutting off their escape across the Danube. Because its troops are now fighting house to house, even floor to floor, the Federal Army can no longer use its long-range artillery to hit the town centre. With this kind of fighting at close quarters, the casualties are high.
Nearly home. Who done it?
Oh, I gotta get an ad blocker. Next video, I promise I will have an ad blocker.
According to intercepted radio transmissions, there are some Croats who are willing to surrender, but only on condition it is to the Federal Army.
They don't want to, so they don't want to, they're terrified to surrender to the Serbs or Serbian militias. They only want to surrender to the, you know, the official Yugoslav army. So it sounds like the Croatian fight for independence ended here.
On what they will do to both Croat soldier and Croat civilian if the fighting stops. They fear a massacre, and that is why they fight suicidally on.
Wow.
Some families have quite literally been blown out of their hideouts in sewers and cellars. This man was one. The soldiers asked him, "Are you a Serb?" He answered, "Yes, but what does it matter? It was the Croats who hit me and saved me." There are some who watch this demolition and wonder why, just to wipe a small country town off the map. Perhaps the simple answer is that the army considers the Croats should be punished for what they have done in breaking up Yugoslavia by its unilateral declaration of independence. But to the Croats, this town has been a symbol of its defiance, a symbol of its independence. In strategic terms, its fall will mean nothing, but to the Croats, it's bound to have a devastating effect upon their resolve to continue this war. Michael Nicholson, ITN, on the outskirts of Vukovar.
Today, the eastern Croatian town of Vukovar finally fell to the Federal Yugoslav Army after a siege of 68 days.
Broken hip. I can't figure out how to freaking add this to my... oh, I got it. Never mind. Back to the video.
An armoured convoy escorted the Red Cross Jeep through no man's land, its tattered flag a hopeful
technology, am I right?
Guarantee of safe passage. At the agreed rendezvous point, 3 Croatian commanders were waiting to be assured by the Red Cross's Nicholas Bosinger that he would act as intermediary and guarantor of their safety. The two sides met at a remote farmhouse, the Croats issuing only one condition, that they would surrender only to the Federal Army and not to the Serbs, who they feared would massacre them. The surrender agreed, tanks were then sent up to clear the road of barricades.
So that probably leads to the next the next stage of fighting. The tension between the Serbs is still there.
The Croat commander, a Federal Army major by his side, radioed the order for the exodus to begin.
I wonder how many soldiers
with
the
sounds
Federal...
of the guns behind them, they came trickling out towards us.
I wonder how many
Shuffling,
troops
limping, weeping.
the Federal troops lost. Yugoslavian troops. I wonder how many men they lost.
4,000 refugees from the once pretty, bustling market town of Vukovar.
Sir, we've got a problem with the shadow duelists.
What about them?
They're back.
Days and nights they had suffered in the ruins of their town, a bombardment like no other in Europe this half-century. To bombers and had somehow managed to survive the day, men who could not have known that their enthusiasm for Croatian independence would finally lead to this. And so the Battle of Vukovar is over, and with it, we hope, the suffering, the 3 months of suffering of these people. But remember that this is just a local truce with fighting still going on across the country. And as the military are frequently reminding us, one ceasefire doesn't make a peace. Michael Nicholson, News at 10, Vukovar.
The mainly Serbian forces of Yugoslavia's Federal Army have been...
I got it, Broken Hip. We'll watch it before I wrap up here in a minute.
...rooting out the last Croatian fighters still defending Vukovar. Croatia's government surrendered Vukovar yesterday. The mass evacuation of the city continued between the battles. The federal troops today captured the town's hospital, where 800 patients are being treated. Many have suffered the overcrowded conditions throughout the 3 months of siege.
Parts of Vukovar are still burning, but nobody cares. There is still occasional gunfire, but nobody listens. They have only one thing to do now, and that's to get out. However they can, with whatever they can carry, young and old, those who can still walk, and those... The dead, and there are many more than we can show, are left where they fell, unburied. There is a report tonight that 40 children have been found killed in a cellar.
Oh.
These are Serbs. The army claims the Croats murdered them in the final hours of the fighting. The International Red Cross says it cannot reach the hospital because the fighting continues there. That's nonsense. It's all over. Those on the outside can come in now. They should know that those struggling to survive here need help now and massively. If they don't get it, many alive today will be dead by the time it does arrive. That much is certain. Michael Nicholson, News at 10, Vukovar.
Vukovar. The first time I've even heard of this city.
Red Cross officials in the Croatian city of Vukovar are today trying to reach hundreds of people wounded in the fighting there. The Red Cross say their efforts to reach the city's hospital are being hampered by landmines.
That's a wild story, man. It's a crazy story. All right, y'all. This was kind of cool watching this. I like this channel a lot. So there's tons of these that we could watch. The Bosnian one is a 4-parter, so that would probably take a long time to get through. So we might do that. It'll be something else we can add to the list. I'm not going to be covering ufology stuff really anymore. I just don't care anymore. Let's see. Where is this video? I know I added it. I might have to refresh. Let me do this. I know I added it. We'll do this.
To the casual observer.
Oh, here it is. All right, this was sent in by Broken Hip. We're gonna go ahead and end the stream on this. I guess it's Boogie. rapping over on the LCU because, you know, the LCU is all about good content.
For togetherness, right? Because we are trying to do it together.
Glenn, learn to do this tomorrow. Lottie Dottie, we like to party. We don't cause trouble, we don't bother nobody. We're just some men that's on the mic. And when we rock up on the mic, we rock the mic like all in y'all.
Oh my god!
Just see a smile and enjoy yourself. Cause it's cool when you're funky condition and recreate. Cause it's our business, so listen to what we say. Cause this type of shit, it happens every day.
How is fucking Boogie? How does Boogie have flow? Wait a minute. What the fuck is happening here? I expected it to be so bad. And he's actually decent.
For togetherness, right? Because we are trying to do it together.
Glenn, learn to do this tomorrow. Lottie Dottie, we like to party. We don't cause trouble, we don't bother nobody. We're just some men that's on the mic. And when we rock up on the mic, we rock the mic like all in y'all, keeping y'all in hell. See a smile and enjoy yourself. Cause it's cool when you're funky condition and recreate. Cause that's our business, so listen to what we say. Cause this type of shit, it happens every day. I wake up around 10 o'clock in the morning. I get myself a stretch up. I'm on a yawn and I put the bathroom to wash up. Dip a hand on my face and a hand and thought I go online, put mustard on my tits. Cause these people think I should fucking quit. Yeah, I hate the show. I hate my life. The only thing I like is my wife. You don't have one!
Dude, why has he not done this before? Has he ever used this skill before?
Motherfucking dead. Please put a bullet in my motherfucking head. I'm fucking sick of doing this shit. 2.5 years makes me fucking quit. I don't want to motherfucking spit bars. I just want to eat some shit. So pay for mustard.
Oh, Boogie, you didn't grab the candy bars there, dude. It was right there. Why didn't you say candy bars?
Pay for all of it. Take my house lost.
Oh, I guess you can't rhyme bars with bars, can you? Yeah. That's why I'm not a rapper.
I just want to ride the fucking mouse, yeah. Ride the mouse. Ride the mouse. Don't you know we're gonna ride the motherfucking mouse?
Yeah, now he's repeating.
Ride the mouse.
He's
ride
out.
The mouse. Don't you know we'll ride the fucking mouse? Hey, Keemstar, claim you can't rap. I think your plan was motherfucking crap, but 24 hours we will fucking try. I will fucking do it unless I fucking die. God have mercy on my motherfucking soul. Put a hole in my bowl, put a hole in a bowl. Come on, I don't wanna have to be a fucking live. Take me the fucking full cow live! Hey!
I don't wanna have to be alive.
Thank you, it's Kelly. I guess we're going, and that's okay. That's why I released the fucking graves. Your mama ain't the only one that lets you talk. So come in here and outline my body chalk. Yeah, put me in the motherfucking ground.
That line was good. Come in here and outline my body chalk. I wonder if he's got lines he goes to, or if he's ad-libbing all this. It's not bad if he's just freestyling this.
Talk, so come in here and outline my body chalk. Yeah, put me in the motherfucking ground. I don't want to be alive. I'm in so much pain. I'm in so much pain. My whole money went down the motherfucking drain. My mom would twitting my tipples every day, and that's why I think I'm borderline gay. Yeah, I don't want to motherfucking be here. Everybody W's and give me fucking cheer. I lost faith. I lost nightmare. You all want me to shake.
He said, I don't want to fucking be here. Everyone always gives me W's and cheers.
Fucking hair. Behind your fucking tattoo. Should her be fucking get. Fucking gang, bo. She ain't like shit. I don't know what we're motherfucking doing, but me and Diamond tonight, me and Dash is screwing. The only way I can fucking exist is if.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's way better than I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna go maybe 15, 20 seconds, and then it was gonna end in a blow up. And he actually stays in theme with his, psychotic depression and everything. It's not bad at all. Now, I do wonder if he has freestyled before, and if you hear him do it again, if he reuses a lot of the lines, because that's kind of the challenge, is to be able to come up with new shit each time you do it. But yeah, dude, not bad. Boogie needs to do that shit more often. When they can't come up with like ideas for like what to talk about, he needs to just start freestyling. Have people send him some beats and shit. It's way better than 85% of the shit that goes on their channel. Did you guys watch the Ozzy Cobb? I'm gonna actually play a little bit of that again. I didn't. I was pretty surprised at how awful Keem was to this girl. I don't know if this was normal or what. Oh, you haven't seen it yet?
Not today, sweatpants.
I'll play the beginning
Somebody's
for
wearing
you.
jeans that fit.
We'll end on the beginning of this Ozzy Cop video because I played it earlier.
No photos, please. Just a regular.
Holy God, what are you showing me? His head. Come on.
We'll talk to you later.
You're literally an old man cutting his grass.
This girl was giving him such a hard time. And he starts like calling her ugly and old and stuff.
Oh, you're an old woman with no man.
I am not old.
Well, you look it.
It's the guy that
Yeah, this is the first time I've seen Fupa, and she's funny. She's actually one that's kind of entertaining.
Holy God, what are you showing me? His head. Come on.
We'll talk to you later.
You're literally an old man cutting his grass.
Oh, you're an old woman with no man.
I am not old.
Well, you look it.
It's the guy
He's such a douchebag. He makes that corny line, "You look it," and then he laughs at his own joke. He's such a douche.
that dyes his beard and is bald.
Yeah, but I actually am old. You just look old. That's the difference.
You are old. You are old.
Yeah, I am old. Yes, I am old. You look old. That's the difference.
Yeah, what he's saying is, I am old, so I have a reason to look old. You're young and you're wrinkly and old. It's one of the worst things you could say to a girl. It's like, yeah, it's like the low blow of low blows to say to a female, especially one that pays a lot of attention to her physical appearance.
Oh, bitch, please. No, I don't.
Roller coaster, right?
But
Like sometimes
that's the beginning of it. You're gonna have to go back and watch it. Broken Hip. It's a pretty good Aussie cop. This other guy down here at the bottom, he seems to give it back to Keem also. He basically boots him. He's like, dude, you need to go. It was pretty funny. Alright, y'all, I'm gonna get ready to end this stream. I've been going for a while. This was fun, though. I haven't been able to stream in a while. I've had all this drama and real life bullshit going on. It's been a really rough week for me, so... but it's been fun to kind of do this and unload it. So I appreciate everyone coming and hanging out. KMF and Broken Hip. I think Rotary was in earlier. I'm not going to be doing any ufology stuff much. I might still cover crazy shit that happens on UFO Twitter, but I'm not going to really like go into the ufology topic much as long as it's dominated by MAGA politicians. I'm going to do paranormal stuff. I'll cover Side-Eye Guy still, and world events, the war in Iran, of course, but I'll probably continue doing that on Libtard News. My Felony Talk videos, I'm just going to cover whatever's interesting to me. It'll be a mishmash. People will figure it out as I go, I guess. Just follow me on X if you want to follow my channel, and I usually post what I'm about to do, usually a couple hours before I go live. So if you want to follow me on X, Felony Talk on X. If you haven't subscribed yet, please go subscribe. If anyone wants support financially, I'm going to be probably moving Tuesday and staying in a temporary hotel for a couple months. But if anyone wants to help support, you can do it at buymeacoffee.com/TJFelony. They do have Wi-Fi over there, though, so I'll be able to stream. So I'll be going live every once in a while. We'll see how good the internet is. I found a place where I can have my cat also, which is awesome to find a hotel that'll let you take your cat. But that's why I haven't been live in a while. I just got a lot of crazy shit going on in my life. I talked about it in the intro. If you're coming in late, go back to the beginning, and if you want to catch up on all the bullshit and drama. But yeah, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Pop over on X. I got my group chat. Might be in a space later, and my DMs are open. And so if you want to talk about the stream or anything else, any recommendations, or call me a piece of shit, whatever, my DMs are pretty much open to everybody. And I will see you guys next time I go live. Probably, I don't know. I might game stream sometime, but probably later on in the week you'll see me once I get settled. Probably around maybe Wednesday or Thursday. Once I get settled, I'll try to do a stream and give everyone an update. But yeah, if you've ever considered supporting, please go do that now. It'd be much appreciated. Uh, take it easy, everybody. Have a good weekend. I will see you all next time. Peace out. Be good to each other.